7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Welcome into the Vegas Squares podcast. This is our NFL gambling show. We've got a full house here in the Zoom virtual studio. Got a little bit of an assistance here from a couple of 12-ounce shows. Obviously, you know down here Tony Johnson from our regular podcast. Tony, what's going on, bro?
Not too much. This is pretty much my favorite time. As you know, Aaron, I get into a lot of future betting. And football is my main jam besides golf. So I've been looking forward to a show sort of like this. And I'm glad we got some new blood here. This will be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's better than looking at Spike and Token, but maybe it's more informative.
Yeah, it's about the same, really. Yeah. Just a bunch of dudes, really, at the end of the day.
I have wigs.
Oh, yeah, I don't know if that'll help.
And that voice you hear is, of course, TALKMAN Radio. John Cafaro. John, thank you very much for joining us. I know you've been on the podcast before. Thank you for the free T-shirt, for locking yourself into Justin Herbert with the fifth and only the fifth pick. So free swag for me.
I still think it's going to be the fifth pick.
Yeah, you stick to your guns, man. Have a take.
That's
and don't waver. And of course, from Mike Said It First, it's Michael Carvallis. You know him from the headlines. You know him from Mike Said It First. He's all over 12-ounce. I would say he's like the utility guy for the 12-ounce Sports Network.
I just like to talk a lot. And I'm also home of the predicting the Patriots to lose to the Giants twice in both Super Bowls. So you're welcome.
Were you like 12 then?
I was like 12, and I was being told I was stupid, and guess who looked stupid? The old guys.
That's fair enough. I had egg on my face in both of those Super Bowls too. So
that's right.
You can hold on to the History Channel. You just keep holding on to the past. So anyways, we are going to get into some gambling. I want to talk about kind of the NFL as a whole here as we enter the 2020 season, because this is a season unlike any other for a lot of different reasons. There's been discussions of bubbles. There's been discussions of full houses, no houses. It's going to be a weird one to me. I think I can speak for all of us to say that home field advantage is going to be a weird topic, especially from a gambling standpoint, because a lot of these stadiums that rely on that home field advantage, Seattle, Kansas City, Atlanta, et cetera, might be at an interesting disadvantage here. But we're going to talk about that and many other things here. I want to thank a couple of our sponsors here, obviously 12-ounce and Zingo TV, where we are broadcasted in both audio and video formats. You can catch us on Zingo every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern. With a replay at 11, and you can catch us every Saturday at 10 p.m. Eastern with a replay Sunday at 10 p.m. Eastern.
That's a great app.
Yeah, Zingo's phenomenal. If you don't have Zingo, you can get a free account using the promo code 120Z when you sign up for a new account, and we are on channel 761. Mike, if you had to give basically a short sentence as you prepare to get into the 2020 NFL season, what would that sentence be?
Before the virus started, I was like, I kind of had an idea of what was going on. I'm like, I don't know what to think now. So this is going to be – I want to hear takes right now because I have no idea what to expect this year.
That's good. I mean, that's kind of an interesting one. Expect the unexpected.
There you go.
You're right. I've watched some college football so far in the last few days, and I think that it's a good barometer of what we can expect. A lot of especially with no preseason, John, a lot of the first couple of weeks might be hard to bet on. But I think ultimately at the end, we might have everything ironed out by then. John, what do you think about that?
I think you're right. I think the first few weeks are going to be a little weird, but I think the teams that have the best chemistry, the teams that have been together the longest, the teams that don't have that much massive turmoil, especially in key positions, I want to call them San Diego, but they're not San Diego. San Diego with the rookie quarterback, Miami with the rookie quarterback. Not so much Tampa Bay. I kind of like Tampa Bay. We'll get into that. I don't want to shoot my load too early. But but the teams that are a little up in the air and don't have good chemistry, I think they're going to have a little tough time, especially without the crowd noise to boost them up when they get in trouble.
Yeah, and that's it.
I've heard. I looked at a report on Twitter, albeit the Twitter reporters. They said that there was going to be Pat McAfee said there was going to be like 70 decibel max of like fake crowd noise.
So
Just throw that out there.
Atlanta's really good at that. So they've been busted for it before. So. And Tony, like to piggyback off of John, I think the teams that have stability, i.e. the Super Bowl champions and things like that, are they at an advantage here with even despite the fact that Arrowhead does rely mostly on crowd noise, but teams that have remained relatively intact, again, especially at key positions, how does that really affect you as a professional sports gambler when you're handicapping lines?
Yeah, it's sort of along the same lines. I'm trying not to overthink it. Just getting back into the NBA, and when we talk about golf and a lot of things like that, I'm really trying not to overthink things and just go through the motions like I usually do. Break down the teams, the situation, what makes sense, the scheming that'll happen, change of coordinators, head coaches, and how that'll all fit together. And while, it might take a few weeks, as you guys have mentioned, to get everybody on the same track, it's still at the end of the year, we're still going to see the cream rise to the top. We're still going to see, I think, in my opinion, if we handicap this right, the teams that should be there will be there, barring crazy injuries or, things like that. So I think just staying in your lane and, doing what you can is the best advice that I try to give myself, really, and not try to overthink of what could happen and in this kind of bizarre time that we're living in.
And Tony, put yourself in the mind of a sportsbook manager now. What are you doing right now? What are your thoughts? I mean, I know that between you and I, we all know that the Super Contest and the Circa Contest are not getting the action. But not only that, I mean, although they're looking at huge overlays, they may not be looking at the same handle, or they may be looking at reduced handle for the next few weeks. I mean, what are you doing? If you put your mind on a sportsbook manager, what are you doing to entice people to want to come out and actually wager on this crazy season that we got ahead?
Fantastic question, especially here in Las Vegas. I think anything to just get people in the door is the way to go. So seating is down because they've had to move seats around and have less with the social distancing measures. Is do anything you can to get people in, hold some contests. I know there's a local casino out here that's holding a contest on the first week, Stations Casinos, just to get people in for like where you can sit in proximity to TVs, kind of a lottery type of system, free food, things like that. Anything to get people indoors, because once they're there, that the money will fly, because people can't resist betting on a 15 game card. It's going to happen. So I think just getting people indoors, being creative, doing what you can. That's what I would be doing if I was running a sports book.
All right. Now, before we jump into some of the gambling options, we want to talk about a couple of the big moves. You talked about, kind of consistency and things like that and how that could benefit teams. But there were some big names to move this offseason. Probably, and maybe I'm just being biased here because Brady did move after 20 years with one team. But I think this is probably the biggest free agent offseason I've seen between trades and signings. And like I said, in a season that could be a little crazy here. But I want to talk about a couple of big moves in this offseason. The first one, obviously, is Brady to the Buccaneers after 20 years, 6 Super Bowls, 9 appearances, MVPs out the wazoo. He takes his talents down to Florida, where it's tax-free income. I'm hoping that's the only reason why he left. Otherwise, there could be some turmoil in New England. But, Mike, I'll start this with you first. I mean, I'm a big Brady guy. And to be honest with you, I grew up with 2 teams in my life rooting for, the New England Patriots and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I told the guys on the podcast, et cetera, there's only one team that Brady can go to that I would root for, and that's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers if he left the New England Patriots. But how's the rest? I mean, you're not a Bucs fan. You're not a Patriots fan. How are the rest of the NFL feeling with this? And the fact of the matter is, let's look at it from an objective standpoint. Brady's 43 years old. He's coming off one of his more down years, so to speak. Gronk's coming out of retirement. We'll loop him in here as well from the New England Patriots, coming out of a year of retirement. Depending on who you talk to, I think it's a very polarizing signing by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. A lot of people are real high on Brady and the Bucs. They've moved anywhere from 35-1 down to in the teens. And there's a lot of people who are real low on them. A lot of people are saying, this guy's 43 years old. I don't know if he can hack it, even with all the weapons around him that Bruce Arians and the staff has built. What do you think about this Brady signing and what it means to not only the NFC South, the NFC picture, and the fact that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers really haven't competed under Jameis Winston? And now they've got a guy where they're literally putting all of their eggs in this basket, a 43-year-old quarterback.
First, I want to touch on Tampa Bay. I don't know if anybody in their wildest dreams, even that lived in Tampa Bay, would say, hey, we're going to get a big-time free agent in the NFL. His name is going to be Tom Brady. It's just that's just insane. So it's good for you. It's good that they contacted Aaron and said, hey, where could Brady go?
Well, I just said, where can he go that you will still root for him? And I was like, well, there's only one spot. So.
Another thing is from a betting standpoint, obviously, Tom Brady's the Cardinals. I'm thinking of Bruce Arians. Okay, the Buccaneers are going to be good because of all they've added. On paper, they're going to look phenomenal. Obviously, they're going to be better than they were with the guy who threw the ball 30 times to the other team last year. That being said, this is why I like sports betting a lot, because they're very realistic. I'm looking at a lot of these odds on my bookie. They're not as big as the public would make you assume. There's some huge favorites. The public actually has the Patriots looking pretty good this year too, with the betting. And I think, honestly, it's why I respect the betting, but I also cannot stand the casual fan at the gloss over because Tom Brady is 43 years old, like you said.
Oh, okay. I thought there was more to come into that. Yeah, I mean, it is. It's really hard to look at it that way. If you look at it from an objective standpoint of view, it doesn't look like the greatest signing in the world for the Bucs. I mean, Tony, I know that you are the most objective guy I know who can take a situation and look at it from literally no bias. And I know that in our 12-ounce sports draft, Mr. Talkman himself jumped all over Tom Brady. So we'll get to you in just a second. But from the objective standpoint of view, Mr. Johnson, what do we realistically expect from the Buccaneers? Realistically, not, I mean, I know that you and I have talked about wanting to see the Bucs and the Pats kind of have an interesting maybe Super Bowl matchup or a little side bet. Bill Belichick goes farther than Brady, but what do you realistically expect from this Bucs team? I mean, Jameis Winston, it's essentially the same arsenal with what Jameis Winston had last year, except for now you got Leonard Fournette factor. We'll see what happens with that. But what do we expect with Brady here? I mean, I know that, Mike came from a fan perspective to say that, he likes what the Bucs can be this year, but I know that you can give me an objective take here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see the offense and how it's going to evolve. We saw with Jameis Winston last year and how the offense was, functioned. There was a lot of deep balls. There were a lot of times we were playing behind in the second half. It was just a team that was always seemingly in disarray, always trying to come back from something, always trying to get over the last pick six, things like that. And I think this year you're going to see a totally different style of play, a totally different offense. I think we're going to see a lot of dink and dunk ball, a lot of the stuff that we've seen from New England, I think, over the years. I don't think there's any question that Leonard Fournette will end up becoming the main back for this team, but they're going to mix in a couple of guys. I mean, they're going to mix in some people. They're going to have two back sets, I think, a lot of plays and a lot of structure that Brady is familiar with. And I think he's going to be very involved in not only just the play calling in itself and setting up the week, but really being involved in the offense. So I think we're going to see a lot of similarities in that sense. And just, in regards to throwing a deep out or in regards to throwing a ball 25 yards on a line, Brady can't do it anymore. He just can't. While he still remains a relatively accurate passer, he does not have zip on the ball. So I just don't think it's very possible in this sense. So to me, if Tampa Bay can maintain a lead and or stay in games, I think they'll be in really good shape. But we know that defense is very susceptible to giving up quite a few yards, especially on the
worst
ground.
defense in the league last year through the air.
Absolutely. So that's what I think we should be looking out for is how does this defense respond? Do they get any better? Because if not, playing behind in games, especially in that division, which I think Carolina will be slightly improved, I think Atlanta's a wild card. I agree with it. We were talking about this off the air. I think Atlanta can still play, and certainly the Saints may be the best team in the NFC starting out the season. It's not an easy spot to be in. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how the offense develops and if they can, put up enough points to not fall behind in games.
Yeah, and John, I mean, he just kind of mentioned it. We're all gung-ho about Brady and the rejuvenated offense under Arians and Byron Leftwich, the offensive coordinator. But, Tony brings up a point. I know that you're high. Again, you drafted him on what I thought was a little bit of a reach, no disrespect. But how many people are overlooking this defense?
Well, I'll give you my point from a fantasy football and a statistical perspective.
That's cool.
Let's go to the stats.
Oh, my gosh.
He's got it taped on the wall. I love it.
So, in terms of passing, and last year, Tampa Bay 5,127 yards. They threw the ball the fourth most in the league. They were sacked 47 times. Brady getting rid of the ball in 2 seconds is going to bring that down. How much? I think probably halfway. 30 interceptions. Not great. Brady averages, he'll get less than 10 usually on a bad year. He gets 10. So you're looking at an offense that's going to get rid of the ball a lot quicker, that wants to throw the ball. You have wide receivers, the kind of Brady loves big wide receivers. You got Mike Evans, 6'8". You got Chris Godwin. He's like 6'2". You got Gronk, 9 feet tall. You got all these guys out there just the way he wants it. He said, I mean, and I made this point. I don't talk to Brady. Not much.
You don't?
I've tweeted him. I asked him to send me a picture of Giselle's, when she's sleeping, but he won't do it. But besides that,
good read.
But I mean, he's the kind of guy that these guys who excel to this level, and there aren't that many guys out there that you can say are on Tom Brady's level. Jordan,
Messi, maybe.
yeah, Gretzky. Like you're talking about the greats. These people have a mindset that is just so out there that they have to invent things to kind of go up against. And I think this year he's going up against Peyton Manning going to Denver, and the kind of he still wants to put up these. He wants to put up these stats. He wants to show, listen, I did what I did over there, and now I want to do it over here. Now, am I saying he's going to put up 55 touchdowns? No. Nope. But the stats here say they put up 5,100 yards with a guy who has never been accurate. The accuracy is not Jameis Winston's thing at college or in the pros. So I think 4,500 yards is reasonable if you're going to throw the ball, especially with that defense. And somewhere in the 30 to 35 touchdown range.
I was giving my glasses to Jameis Winston.
I think he got LASIK over the offseason. He saw correctly that he is a number 2 quarterback and signed appropriately.
Just all you do is look for Mike Thomas. He's fine.
That's true. Yeah.
Aaron, I know you want to talk about Gronkowski as well, so we don't just focus on the one Tom Brady, although he is the big ticket here. I want to say that Gronkowski is more amusing to me than Tom Brady at 43 signing with the Buccaneers, making them instant favorites. Because Rob Gronkowski, to me, I don't remember the last time he played professional football. Was it the Super Bowl where he caught like one good pass that where they beat the Rams 10-9 or something like that?
13-3,
so
yes.
Yeah. There you go. It's like I don't know how much stock I can put in the offense at all. Like we hope that Mike Evans has been great at deep routes his entire career. But can I expect Tom Brady to – maybe Gronk is a security blanket. I don't like either signing. I think it's just like, hey, hopefully we're good this year, but we're still Tampa Bay.
Well, and that's fair. You got to expect, though, that signing Tom Brady over Jameis Winston, even at Brady's advanced age, feels like an upgrade as well.
It is.
I'm in the camp that – I think the other 2 tight ends are way more vital than Rob Gronkowski. I think Rob Gronkowski came out of retirement to basically, go after it again in an environment that doesn't involve Bill Belichick. But I think O.J. Howard is going to be key. And another guy I like in this spot is Scotty Miller to really be the benefactor of. You can only cover so many guys. And last year, he really looked good with Jameis Winston. I'm not saying from a fantasy perspective, but Scotty Miller might have some big catches this year. So, let's move on to stay in the NFC South. Teddy Bridgewater's finally getting a chance to start after kind of being, backing up Drew Brees really successfully, but hasn't really been a starter since his days in Minnesota. I thought he played really well in Minnesota, kind of got the raw deal, but he had to do what he had to do. But now he's in Carolina. We talked about Carolina. Tony said that he expects them to be improved. They're really predicted to be one of the worst teams in the NFL, but I actually think Teddy Bridgewater can have a big impact, not only with winning games, but just, kind of being a good role model for this team. He's quiet. He goes about his business. I thought Teddy Bridgewater was an underrated big signing. Mike, what are your thoughts on Teddy?
I love that you went to me first because I want to say this. I keep reminding people Teddy Bridgewater, the year that he got he blew out his knee or whatever in practice, ESPN literally had to make an entire story of how downtrodden, because those Vikings were so good that year and Teddy was their guy. And just like that, the tables turned. And he, like you say, he did well with the Saints. I think the Panthers, although they are 7-1 to have the most losses, which I think is a decent bet, I still think Teddy could, like Tony said, improve this team. And I would not be surprised if they were playing devil's advocate just like the Falcons are. I like Teddy with Carolina a lot.
Tony, when Bridgewater was signed, you weren't hugely high on it, but you do think that Carolina could be improved. So talk about Bridgewater signing here and how he can help this team with a new head coach who's never had any NFL experience as a head coach, who's known for kind of being a player's coach in that sense every stop he's had, at least in the NCAA. So I thought Teddy Bridgewater was under the radar. Good signing here.
Agreed. And Teddy himself, he did quite a long interview. I don't know if it was with ESPN or one of the main sports networks, talking about how much he learned just being around Sean Payton and Drew Brees on a daily basis for the time that he was there, and how much more he learned about the offense and just being a better quarterback and staying within himself. There were many plays he talked about when he had to come in last year and he made the right check down, or he made the right decision to throw the ball away. And he specifically said 3-4 years ago, even in the Minnesota times, he may not have been able to make that right decision. And he was really upfront and honest about it. So I think that's part of what goes a long way here, is how much of a better player he got, just being on the sideline and being around these guys. I mean, there's no mistake. Sean Payton is an offensive genius. He really is an incredible guy. We can say what you want about him, on a personal sense, fine, but he can really coach offensive football. So I think that certainly is something. But to piggyback what you said, Aaron, Matt Rule has been a really good stopgap throughout his career. You look at what kind of team he inherited at Temple, and again, I know it's college football compared to the NFL. We are talking apples and oranges a little bit here, but that was a really bad situation he came in and inherited, and
It's
right
Temple.
away. Yeah, Temple, exactly. That's right. That's right, Mike. Yeah, and that team improved immensely in many different facets right away. He goes to a situation in Baylor, which was a shit ball that nobody wanted. Nobody wanted to touch this thing. And he comes in and really rights the ship relatively quickly, and they are back into a prominent football team within a couple of seasons. It's really a remarkable turnaround that has not gotten enough press. And I just think Matt Rule is that type of guy. He is a one-on-one type of coach. He listens to people. He is an all or nothing kind of guy. And the guys that believe in the system and what's going on, and I think there's quite a few of them on that team. I paid very close attention to Carolina here because I've been very intrigued by what to bet on and what not to in that regard. I think this team's going to get better quickly. Now, yes, we look at the talent and we look at what's on the roster. It's not a great roster overall. You're right about that. I agree. But I think the glue is there enough for them to not be this worst team in the NFL, Mike. Not to say you shouldn't or shouldn't bet, make that bet. I think Carolina's going to be better than expected.
Yeah, I will say you should not make that bet. And the reason I think it is, I think you're right with the roster as it's currently constructed. Obviously, signing a guy like Teddy Bridgewater, John, to a $21 million a year contract means you are not actively tanking for the can't-miss prospect next year in Trevor Lawrence. So that being said, I think this is a middle-of-the-road kind of team. And, ball bounces the right way a couple times for these guys, especially in a division where we just talked about everybody's going to kind of beat themselves up. Bridgewater could be the guy. He doesn't make a ton of mistakes. And I don't want to touch on this too heavily or go off on a crazy tangent. I kind of wonder where Kirk Cousins would be if Teddy Bridgewater never got hurt in Minnesota.
Good question, but I go back to the beginning, to how we started. One of our first sentences: teams that have all kinds of things going on, I think, are going to be at a disadvantage. And this team has a new coach, new quarterback. McCaffrey's
Kuechly retired.
Yeah, a defense that let up a zillion points last year. This is the kind of team that if it goes that way and things start off bad, it could just tumble right down. And you could just, oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah, that makes sense.
That's fair. It's good.
Now, I agree that I don't think they're going to be, I think there's way worse teams out there. Jacksonville's a worse team. Redskins are a worse team.
The football team?
Yeah, the football, they're worse. Either one of them, they're both worse. Washington and the Redskins are both worse. There's worse teams out there, but I think this is the kind of team, especially without a crowd there to help them out if they get in trouble, especially early on in the season. I don't know what their schedule looks like, but that's the kind of team that, 0-1, 0-2, 0-3, and then it just kind of falls, and then they end up 4 wins.
First of all, to John's point, the schedule is brutal, and I do worry about where they start off. But to Tony's point, I think as terrible as Temple was compared to what he did to them when he left, Baylor, like you called it, what it was, scandals in college football are not the friendliest to college football programs, especially all that Title IX, whatever they do with that. If there's any coach that could do it, it might be Matt Rule.
And he did.
But at John's point, it would definitely be ugly because they don't have a pretty schedule to start off the season.
And to the point of Teddy Bridgewater as a free agent pickup, middle of the road.
That's fair. I'd like to be middle of the road, get me $21 million a year.
Yeah,
Right.
That's middle of the road in the NFL.
All right, so the last guy I really want to – actually, two guys I really want to talk about because I thought this was a huge move, and I think that it may have rippling effects throughout the next maybe 5, 6, 7 years, depending on the success and one of the coaches. Deandre Hopkins goes to the Arizona Cardinals, and in return, David Johnson, and a couple other players involved in the trade. But David Johnson, who ever since signing his contract has really just gone downhill with injuries. So you're trading one of the best receivers in the game, Bill O'Brien is. And again, that guy, it's been an interesting journey, but he's been winning ever since. So I can't question him just yet. But he brings back this running back who hopefully, if he can return to glory, really instills a huge asset that Deshaun Watson needs. This was probably one of the biggest moves. It had a lot of controversy to it with Shannon Sharp saying that, Bill O'Brien was sitting Hopkins down with Aaron Hernandez comparisons, and it got real weird after this move. But I like this trade. Honestly, if David Johnson can stay healthy, I like this trade for both teams. And Tony, I'll start with you because this weekend you and I had differing opinions on the Texans. But if David Johnson can be healthy, 1,200, 1,300 yard rusher with a few touchdowns, I see Houston really just kind of rightfully taking their place back in the AFC South. You and I disagree on this.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Houston and the makeup of the team. Yes, David Johnson having a return to quality play would certainly help the cause. I don't think there's any question about that. But I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of the defense, how much they've aged. It's a very, very old defense that's just has not aged very well. And I'm uncomfortable with the whole Bill O'Brien dynamic. I think it's been kind of held together barely for this long. And again, I'm not trying to take away the fact that he's won some divisions. It's been a surprising thing here. And the trade didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Again, not saying whether it'll be good or bad. It was trying to fix a problem that really wasn't there. This isn't the issue with the team. The issue was with the aging secondary. The average age is 32 and a half years old. And that secondary, that's not going to cut it. So I'm just not a fan of this team. Now, it's a weak division, Aaron. It's a weak division. So I think there's a lot of teams besides Jacksonville that can win the division, all three of them. But Houston would not be my pick, especially with the odds and the way it's set up right now.
Oh, yes, sir.
Yes, I'd like to go.
Him.
Right. So, Tony, unfortunately, Aaron, I completely 110% agree with Tony. I'll even take it a step further. Bill O'Brien, I don't know what he's doing, but him and Doug Marrone are like having a contest to see who can ruin their team the fastest.
He's had 3 or 4 or 5 head-scratching moves, head-scratching press conferences, and he's winning.
I don't know how much of that is attributed to how bad the division is.
Yes.
Andrew Luck has been either retired or hurt the last few years.
As a Patriots fan, I can't condone the division talk because every team steps on the field with the same chance of competing. If you decide to blow up your team, that's your problem.
Very true. First of all, in terms of Hopkins, I think is a great pickup for Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury in Arizona. I mean, that team was so good last year, and they were supposed to be 0-16, and they only got better. Number 2, in terms of Houston, like I was saying before, Deshaun Watson, I love him. I love him since his days at Clemson. He cannot keep playing hero ball. And he just signed a big-time contract. But I'm not unless Philip Rivers is completely awful. The Texans are the third best team in that division. That's only because the Jaguars exist.
That's a hot take there, sir. I will agree to disagree. I think Tony will agree with you. But John, I mean, let's look at this from a fantasy perspective. David Johnson really hasn't been David Johnson for almost 3 years now. DeAndre Hopkins, we know what we're going to get with him. Kyler Murray's not Deshaun Watson, but at the same time,
big arm.
DeAndre Hopkins doesn't need a quarterback. He's proven that he doesn't need a serviceable quarterback to put up numbers. I want to focus on the David Johnson aspect of this trade because we know what we're going to get with DeAndre Hopkins in that offense.
Okay.
What do you see in the prediction here with him? Barring injury, again, that's obviously has to be said here, but I think they could come out ahead in this trade if David Johnson can really establish a running game. I mean, you look at all the guys who have tried to go through there, Alfred Blue, Lamar Miller. There hasn't been a sustainable running game. Deshaun Watson's been the running back at this point.
Yeah.
In his career.
Well,
back to the board, yeah.
Here we go. Here we go.
The Texans were 9th overall in rushing yards, 434 rushing attempts. That's 12th. Now, over the last couple of years, from my memory, they're always 9th, 12th, 13th, 8th. They're always in the same range. They run the ball consistently, no matter who's back there. Alfred Blue, when he was back there, they ran the ball. So David Johnson being there, it doesn't matter who's back there. They're going to run the ball. Now, is he going to stay healthy? That's the question. But where David Johnson shows his is going to show his assets isn't good in fantasy and on the field, I think, is his pass catching ability. That's where you're going to see him. He's going to take some of the target share that Hopkins leaves. He's going to run the ball. He's going to be the dump. He's going to be the safety valve. Get Watson some cheap yardage that way. And to Tony's point, do you remember when Houston had a really young, good defense? Remember every year they were churning out rookie of the years on the defensive side for like 3 years straight. D'Amico Ryans, J.J. Watt, the guy who had the chin like this.
Merciless, right? Or
oh my God!
Merciless, wow.
Merciless. He was there. Nah, there was a
Clowney.
Big,
Clowney. Yeah. You forget that he was at the Texans.
A good young defense, but now they're old. But in terms of David Johnson, yeah, they're going to run the ball with him if he can stay healthy. 1,300 yards is a little much, but I can see him getting 1,000 yards and
on purpose.
And 600-700 yards passing.
I mean, you look at it. We forgot last year, Carlos Hyde ran for 1,000 yards.
Yes.
And caught only 10 balls. I mean, if, like I said, David Johnson can stay healthy, this is a huge upgrade over Carlos Hyde. No disrespect to Carlos Hyde. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not disrespecting because you're absolutely right. That division, in terms of mediocrity, it could be anybody's division except for the Jaguars.
Yeah.
But, okay, so what we're going to do here, kind of get into the gambling aspects. I know that's what you guys all tuned in to see. We're going to break down each division. If you have bets in those divisions, I want to hear them at the end of our breakdown, whether it be division, win total, anything you got, give me a sign. We'll get those in, and we're going to break down all 8 divisions. We're going to move into a prediction, which I know is always tough with injuries. We're going to predict every division winner, put them all together with the wild cards. Because remember, we get 7 teams in each playoff this year, which is obviously 2 more than we've had previous 20 years or so. And we're going to get all the way to our Super Bowl predictions. So, boys, strap up, buckle in. It's going to be fun. You guys ready?
I agree.
So you're saying the Browns have a chance?
If everybody's 0-0, Mikey. They all got a chance. Except the Jaguars. All right, so we'll start in a division that was dominated by one team for, 20 years or so. And we didn't talk about the Cam Newton signing, but I think we'll get to it here in the breakdown a little bit. It's the AFC East. The Bills are now kind of the talk of the town here with the inspiring season they had last year. Unfortunately, they lost in the first round of the playoffs to the Houston Texans. But
They should have won that game. They blew that game.
I agree.
That was terrible.
Yeah, they blew a big lead in that one. But we do have the Bills, who are the betting favorites, the Patriots right behind them, the Dolphins and the Jets as well. If you listen to our last podcast, I know Tony loves the Jets. I'm not just kidding. He doesn't love the Jets. But we're going to start here with Mikey because it's what we've been doing.
Good. Mike said it.
Mike said it first. There you go. That's fair enough.
I like it.
Set that up. So, again, Bills, the talk of the town here. They're the expected team to run away with this division. But caveat emptor, Cam Newton might find a spark here, and Bill Belichick might just prove it doesn't matter who he puts at quarterback.
That's right. Okay, so first of all, I want to give my sincerest apologies to Sam Darnold because Adam Gase,
Wrecked you.
Yeah, he's
ruining
awful.
you. Yes, he is.
I mean,
what the hell?
I don't know. Every single day, a different story comes out about whether he and Le'Veon Bell get along. I don't know what that is. I think Jets are not good. I think Tua is I like Tua.
Tua time's gonna have to wait.
And Dolphins did a really good job last year, late. They were 5-4.
They played really well quietly. Very quietly played well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Way to ruin your shot at Joe
nobody
Burrow.
on.
What is it? Brian Flores, the coach. He's inspired them pretty good.
Yes.
And here come the Bills and the Patriots. I'm happy that the bets on my bookie the Patriots are pretty close because I think it is pretty close. People are just writing off Bill Belichick. I'm not so sure. I've actually got – okay, so this is going to sound stupid. Maybe it's because I don't like Josh Allen. Maybe it's because Devin Singletary right. Maybe it's because Devin Singletary has had fumbling problems now in camp, which is getting a pretty big story, which is weird. I like the Patriots to win the division. I'm sorry. That could be stupid, but I think it's going to be closer than people think.
I don't think it's stupid at all. I mean, a 20-something year track record of plugging and playing guys. Yes, the fact of the matter is there has been that one, consistent quarterback for 20 years that basically you could plug anybody else. Yes, nobody, like John said earlier, nobody's going to be on Tom Brady's level in the NFL for a while. But the fact of the matter is Cam Newton's coming off a huge injury. Josh McDaniels, you either love him or you hate him. He's had, 6 months to prepare really a playbook for him because this playbook that was designed for Tom Brady never had anything involving read options, run, RPOs, any of that stuff. I don't know how much they're going to implement it, especially with Cam Newton's injury history. But I feel like Cam Newton is very ill-effective if he isn't a threat to also run the ball. So that's going to be an interesting kind of wrinkle with the Patriots this year. The Jets I have to agree with Tony. He talked about it in the last podcast. How is Adam Gase continuously still thought of as an offensive genius? It blows my mind. He's proved it time and time again with the Bears and with the Dolphins and now with the Jets that it's just, sorry, your 15 minutes is over at this point. I think the interview where he was named the head coach probably should have been the final red flag. But John, I mean, how do you see this division really playing out? We've already got one pick for the Patriots here with Mike. You're not wrong. The Bills, they seem like the darling, but Mike nailed it on the head. You have a second-year running back with fumbling issues who had a really bad lingering injury last year. And then your other option is a rookie that you drafted, I believe, in the third or fourth round. I can't feel good about that. I love the Stephon Diggs trade, but they already have a guy, albeit maybe a step down in talent. They already have a guy to take the top off the defense in John Brown. And, I mean, who's going to go in the middle? Cole Beasley? I don't know if I love that.
I like Cole. First of all, the middle is good. Before anybody gets started, Cole Beasley is a tough little white dude. I don't know what it is. That dude likes taking hits.
Is he white? I don't see color.
He's got the long hair, the flames. All right, so I got the odds up right here. Bills are the favorite.
Yes.
But here's the thing, and since Mike already took the Patriots, you can have the Patriots. That's fine. There's something about teams the Patriots are gone now. Who's going to step up? Obviously, it's going to be the Bills, but they've never been the guy. Can you be the guy?
So true.
That's the question, and I don't know if they can be the guy. So at plus 750, why not take Miami? They went 5-4. We just went 5-4. On top of that, you go back to my list. They were last in the league in rushing with 1,156 yards. That's terrible. They picked up 2 guys. They picked up Jordan Howard, Matt Breida to help out with that. On top of drafting Tua, who you're right, Tua time's gonna wait a little bit. But did you know they picked up 3 offensive linemen in the first 4 rounds? So you see what they're doing. It's pretty obvious what they're doing. We got big guys to protect against their big guys, our little guys. And that's how they're gonna they're building from the inside out. And that's how they, and you know where Flores comes from. He comes from New England. He knows they want to run the ball. New England's another team. They're always in the top half or top 10 in rushing attempts and trying to run the ball. So I think they're going to try and run the ball. They're gonna dink and dunk as much as they can, and I think they're gonna eke out games. And at plus 750, why not?
Can we get some Cam predictions before anything else? Like, I want to hear some Cam thoughts. I'm sorry, Aaron. We have to hear some Cam thoughts.
If he starts throwing picks, they're gonna yank him.
That's low-hanging fruit. Yeah, that's pretty much any quarterback.
But I mean, Belichick doesn't take any. He's not going to deal with nonsense. If he starts, and then they bring in Stidham, and he screws up.
Stidham.
Then they're going to bring in Hoyer, and then you're going to see me out there. So I mean,
you sound good enough.
I know the stats.
He's got the stat sheet that he does have. Yes.
Tony, John brought up an excellent point. With the Bills, they've made 1 playoff game this century, and it is tough to go from the hunter to the hunted, especially with this team. Josh Allen's really never had any pressure on him. Again, you have an okay offense. The running game. I'm hoping for big things from Devin Singletary. I have him in a lot of fantasy leagues, but I don't love the fact that he is having fumbling problems in camp. I can only imagine what that translates to the game. But, I kind of like the point, that John made. Why not take a flyer in this division, especially the thing that scares me about the Dolphins is how much time, effort, and resources are they going to put into figuring out when Tua time is. I mean, if they go 0-2, you put Tua in. If they're 4-4, you put Tua in. I mean, obviously he's probably going to go in if Fitzpatrick gets hurt, but I just hope that they don't spend so much time, effort, and resources on trying to figure out when the future is when, like you said, it could be right now.
Sure. No, I mean, I'm in total agreement. I think, well, first of all, I think Mike and John both made some excellent points. And my main point was going to be, I mean, I still do have probably the biggest hard-on for Sean McDermott that there is. I think he's one of, if not the best head coach in the NFL. I really think he's incredible. Maybe besides Bill Belichick. He's incredible as a head coach. And I was all over Buffalo, all over the place last year. Regular season, playoffs, futures. Buffalo across the board. Now they are the hunted. And I could not agree more with that. There's been a fire under these guys for the last 2 to 3 years. They made the playoffs with a total dumpster fire of a roster 3 years ago. I mean, a total dump, and they made the playoffs. This guy can coach, but they are now the team that everyone's going after. There's no question about it. Everyone's sort of written off New England for the most part. I think some of the odds makers and people like us that are kind of trying to be forward thinking understand that New England can still get it done. But most people have sort of written them off. And I don't know. Can Buffalo bring it every single week when they are the team to beat? And that scares me. That scares me a lot. And again, as you guys said, New England can still play. Talk about a guy that knows how to coach and scheme. He will come up with the right scheme on a weekly basis, no matter who they're playing, no matter who the quarterback is. John can go in there. John can play as the 4th or 5th stringer, and there will be a scheme attached to it, and it will make sense, and the game will be close. Whether they win or not, I don't know. It's not a spot I really want to be on Buffalo here. So I do have a wager that I have already made. So we're talking about the wagers, I guess. I do have the Jets under 6.5. I know we've talked ad nauseum here about Adam Gase and the shit show that he runs out there, and that's it. I mean, I got the Jets under 6.5 minus 110. This is straight up here. I respect what Miami's doing right now. I respect New England immensely, and that hard-on is still alive with Sean McDermott enough that I think they'll win enough games that the Jets are the odd man out. So I like the Jets under 6.5, and as a division prediction winner, I will take New England, but I'm not confident in it.
Okay, Aaron, I was looking through stuff about like Tua being named the backup for Ryan Fitzpatrick. Ian Rappaport said that Dolphins view this as a redshirt year for Tua. I don't know.
Well, that's their best case scenario, in my opinion. That would mean they were successful. Unless they're just, I mean, I don't know what Brian Flores is, how hot his seat is, but I would imagine that there's, I would imagine the best case scenario is Tua never sees the field.
Yeah.
And that's because Fitzpatrick is successful.
And Fitzpatrick's not bad.
We know the track record of Fitzpatrick. He can put together a 2-3 week stretch, but over a 16-game season, I don't buy it.
He made the Buccaneers look okay without Jameis Winston
for a month.
For a short span, yes. That's
I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think over 16 games, I don't think he can do it. So I think Tua sees the field. The best case scenario would be John wins his division bet, and Ryan Fitzpatrick somehow leads them to a 10-6, 11-5 record.
That would be
amazing.
That would be amazing. That's right.
That would be crazy.
Yeah.
So let's go to the AFC West here, and obviously we know the Super Bowl champions are in this division. They are the overwhelming favorite to repeat as division champions. But, that's the low-hanging fruit. It's easy to just kind of crown them already. But I think that this division may have some improved teams in it as well. You have, obviously, the Broncos, the Raiders, and the Chargers. The Chargers opening up a new stadium, which is good for them that there's no fans in it because now they don't have to worry about the opposing team dominating the stands here in the new, I don't even know what they're calling it, the Rams Chargers Park. But the Broncos look to have put together a pretty good offense this year around Drew Lock. It all kind of goes with his progression, in my opinion. I was really high on Drew Lock coming out of Missouri. The book for me is still high on him. I predict that they're going to be better as well. The Chargers, Tony and I talked. I have a couple of bets tied to the Chargers, but it's going to have to be a Cinderella story for them. Team that just cannot stay healthy. And again, Derwin James is out as well. It's just such an unfortunate. He's such a great talent. But Mike, the AFC West, again, Super Bowl champs are in here. They're locked and loaded. A model of consistency. Everyone's back. Pat Mahomes is paid. And then they arguably got better with trading Damian Williams for this Clyde Edwards-Helaire guy. How do you see this division shaping up? And is there anyone who can really kind of maybe flirt with winning this other than the Chiefs?
I'm going to tell you, I do like your point about Drew Lock. I'm going to get to the Broncos first. Drew Lock being the Broncos quarterback, I wasn't his biggest fan, but I'm more convinced about Vic Fangio, the head coach. I think he did a pretty good job last year with what they had to offer. I mean, I thought they were better than what they could have been, similar to the Dolphins.
Couldn't score.
But they hung in games though, and nobody. And I don't know why, but they did. Broncos are 9-1 to win the AFC West. That's a good bet in my opinion. Because
I like it.
I'm not saying the Broncos are better than the Chiefs, but I'm just saying Chiefs could screw around and just say, hey, we'll just rest this year or something. But
that's a bold take.
Yeah. Right. As for the Chiefs, I do believe they win the division. I do believe that. I think
there's no value in their number.
Their defense last year was so good late. That's why I picked them to beat the 49ers. Their defense stepped up when it needed to last year, and I think it'll step up this year. It's one of my fantasy picks for defense this year, actually, because they get a lot of turnovers being up so big. Raiders could be quietly decent because they are building a little culture. I don't like the picks they're making, but they're building. John Gruden and Mike Mayock have a thing they've got going on there. It's underwhelming with their draft picks, but I believe they could be decent. As for the Chargers, I believe they lose all 6 of their division games and they go 2-14.
Whoa! Wow! That's a bold take right there. Wow! All right, that's the first major one of the.
John, you care to rebut that?
I think you're wrong.
To the point.
Wow. I don't see a 2-14 season. The Chargers are going to be meh. Derwin James going down again. Yep. I mean, he's such a good player, but again, are you going to be out there? That's so bad, especially on defense, especially in the defensive secondary being a major point. Like the safety is such a key position on the defense, especially in the secondary. I mean, I'm in Jersey, so I've been watching the Eagles for 40 years. When we had Dawkins, he covered up so many mistakes. It was ridiculous, and it sets a tone. It covers up mistakes. It keeps everybody else in line. It's such a crucial position, especially when on a defense that you have major players at each section. You have on the line, you have Bosa on the line. In the linebacker section, you have Ingram.
Melvin Ingram, yeah.
I love Melvin Ingram. And Derwin James is supposed to be there on the back end to solidify that whole defense. That's what makes a great defense to me, having superstars on every level. But no, I don't think 2-14. If you want, there's no juice. I mean, Kansas City's going to win the division most likely, unless Mahomes gets hurt, Kelsey gets hurt, everybody gets hurt. Then you got a shot. I would go with the Raiders. I kind of like the Raiders a little bit. I do like what they're doing with the draft picks. They got rid of all the guys and they picked up draft picks. I love Josh Jacobs. I love Abram coming back and being that secondary guy that's going to like set the table in the secondary. If he can, he's a second-year guy and he missed a lot of last year. The defensive line looks better. I like what they're doing on defense. I like how and John Gruden he's always got a top running back, especially in fantasy. Whenever he has a decent running back, they're always top 10 in fantasy. So if you want some juice in the AFC West, I'll go with the Raiders.
That's fair. And John and Tony, the Raiders, Derek Carr will have no shortage of speedsters to throw it to as well. I think this is going to be the Chiefs to lose, but like you said, Mahomes gets hurt, this division comes wide open. And even when Mahomes was there, I mean, respect to Mike's pick, Denver seems to always give Kansas City a game. So, Tony, what are your thoughts on this division?
Well, I don't think they're going to give them much of either game this year. I'm the only bone I'll pick with Mike, although the 2-14 prediction is a bit out there. That's not the one I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about Denver. I don't think they have a chance to win this division. This is another. I'm going to lead into another wager that I've already I just made actually yesterday. Is I don't like where Denver stands here, and it's not just from the offensive side of the ball, although. The addition of Pat Shurmur at offensive coordinator, I am not a fan of, especially in the first season. So I went back and looked at his time with St. Louis, with Philadelphia, with Minnesota when he started as a coordinator. And like a lot of guys, it takes a while for the offensive changes and schemes to take some hold. And Locke is not exactly the type of guy that I think can implement a difficult scheme. And it is a little bit difficult at times. So I think it's going to be a tough spot right away. And then we look and we see the schedule that starts out, and the schedule is actually brutal for Denver to start. So I'll read off. So they have 7 games before the bye, and they start out on Monday night against Tennessee at home, which will not be an easy game. And then we're at Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay, at the Jets, at New England, home Miami, and then Kansas City. And I just getting off to a rough start here, which I think is the most likely scenario more than anything else, just will not bode well for a team like this, for Drew Lock and his confidence. And I just didn't like how he looked when he got behind in games. And so all this kind of add into the fact, I have nothing against Vic Fangio. I think he can be fine here, but defense hasn't improved. It's a year older for a lot of guys. I'm not a fan, of the team overall. And so my bet here is Denver under 7.5 wins. Got that at plus 110 as well, which I think is pretty good. But as you guys were saying, I really think that it is Kansas City's to lose. A Mahomes long-term injury, it brings a lot of other teams into the fray. Maybe even you can win your bet, Aaron, with the Chargers. But I don't know. If I had to make a prediction of the division winner, while I would not bet it at the number, I guess I'd have to go with Kansas City.
Yeah, I mean, Kansas City, obviously they are the class of this division, the class of the AFC. And you're right, minus 450 is probably not something you really want to be laying on in case Mahomes goes down with an injury. However, and this may be some crazy betting pattern, but if you decide you think that Mahomes and or the rest of the team is going to take the year off, Mike, you can literally throw down action on all the 3 other teams, and you're going to make money if any of them win.
There you go.
I mean, you have the Chargers 9-1, the Broncos 9-1, and the Raiders 10-1 here on mybookie.ag.
Healthy.
So $100 on each of them. You go, maybe on Mahomes, snipe his ankle out.
Based on what Tony just said, snipe his ankle out. I just got that. Okay, based on what Tony just said, I believe I can agree with him with the Raiders being better than the Broncos this year. because like you said about
I like nothing about the Raiders.
Really? Wow.
I'm telling you, Aaron.
It's Derek Carr.
You got the hat on.
This is not the Raiders.
Derek Carr was not terrible last year.
True.
And Josh Jacobs, to John's point, is a pretty tough, hard-nosed back. And John Gruden likes to teams. I feel like, although like you said, Denver, yeah, they give Kansas City heck, but in that division, the Chargers, although I have them at 2-14, give people heck too. So it's not like the whole division can kill itself.
I don't know. The Chargers, it's hard to really predict the Chargers. They're in a completely new, I don't want to say regime, but I mean, Phillip Rivers is gone. We know.
I do not like Herbert at all.
Well, I think we're going to get Tyrod Taylor for as
Tyrod
long
Taylor.
as possible. And I will tell you, the bet we keep referencing to, it's kind of my own little Charger parlay. I have the Chargers winning that division at 9-1. And subsequently, if they somehow manage a way to find that division, I have Coach Anthony Lynn at 35-1 for Coach of the Year. That was my Chargers parlay.
One more thing to Tony's point. Great point. Pat Shurmur stinks. His resume. He's living off a resume from a decade ago. That guy. He likes to throw the ball. He's definitely not a good head coach. And in terms of offensive coordinating, they just throw the ball around. He's not. Forget him. That's why I don't like Denver. Yes, you're totally right on Pat Shurmur.
Melvin Gordon is a decent signing though for the red zone touches.
Agreed.
If they get there.
They're not going to run them. They throw the ball. Pat Shurmur throws the ball all the time.
Right.
All right, let's move into the AFC South here, which is the strange division. Anytime you see one of the teams in the NFL at 25-1 to win their own division, you know they're tanking. So we could probably rule out Jacksonville. And we talked about it on the last podcast. I think Gardner Minshew's axe going to get real thin this year.
I like
real
Cashew.
tired.
I like Cashew.
You mean Minshew?
No, I call him Cashew on my podcast.
I like cashews too. I just don't like that quarterback.
I just don't like him throwing the ball.
It's going to be a long year for Jaguar fans. Thank God they don't actually have to go to the stadium.
It's nice, yes. It's like usual. Nobody's
Not
there
that
anyways.
they ever went before. They can tarp off the upper and lower deck this year. But we do have three teams that, depending on how you feel, your optimism, your pessimism, could technically contend for this. The Tennessee Titans were darlings last year. They were able to upset the Patriots. They were able to upset the Baltimore Ravens, all at the hands of Derrick Henry. Now, I'll be the first to say I think Derrick Henry is going to run out of gas this year.
Me too.
But you have the Indianapolis Colts at +120, Tennessee +150, and the Houston Texans at +380. In this division, I think, are the contenders. Again, we can rule Jacksonville out. I don't see any objections here. Any? No? Okay.
Not from me.
So Mike said it first. The early thoughts on the AFC South. I know you
Colts
are
fan.
probably higher on the Colts than anybody here, but I just cannot get excited about a Phillip Rivers signing.
Okay, so I'm going to preface my comments by saying this. Listen, I like the Colts. I love the Colts. My first ever prediction I made, I had no idea. I had never watched a football game, and I said the Colts were going to beat the Bears. Okay? So I'm a Colts fan. I cannot tell you how much I'm putting into this season. If Phillip Rivers, he was crying at the podium. He wanted to retire so bad. I don't know what made him change his mind. But if he is
kids eat more than he thought.
Yeah, a lot of kids.
Right. If he has a pulse, the Colts are going to be in the running for the division title. Ryan Tannehill, sure. I have a buddy who likes Ryan Tannehill. I still don't know. He's above average. He's okay. Deshaun Watson's not going to play hero ball. I'm actually taking the Texans out of the division.
I believe this guy.
Right. I believe Colts win the division, and I think that they could actually have a really strong year. If their first 8 games, they have a decent schedule, I believe Colts, if they could win like 6 of those 8 games, which I think is very possible, I think Colts hold on and win the division.
Yeah, I got to say, this is an interesting spot here. I would have expected the Tennessee Titans to be the favorite based on last year's performance and the fact that, anytime a sports book has something that kind of makes me scratch my head, I tend to just, over my years of being cynical in sports betting, tend to think that they know more than I do, and they're right. I was shocked to see that the Indianapolis Colts were the favorites in this division. And the only thing I have out of this, I have 2 bets already in on my bookie. One of them is the Houston Texans to win this division at +380. I love everything about Deshaun Watson. And I think he's a quarterback that has shown and can mask a lot of those. You talk about Brian Dawkins, John, a guy who can mask a lot of issues. The offensive line hasn't been great, but when you get a mobile quarterback like this, I think he can mask a lot of issues. I don't love anything about Bill O'Brien, but somehow he's been making it work ever since Penn State. So at plus 380, I have the Houston Texans to win the AFC South. And I also have, to Mike's excitement, I have 75-1 T.Y. Hilton to win Comeback Player of the Year.
Listen, T.Y. Hilton, he's worked out. He does it the same route running every single year in Florida that Antonio Brown used to do.
Ah, crap.
And it's not like we have any receivers. Like, I'm not a fan of Michael Pittman Jr.
You don't like Zach Pascal? I think the kid really.
Paris Campbell could be good, but health is going to be huge. I mean, I'm not a big one to say, health could.
So what do you like about the Colts? You think they're going to win the division?
Their defensive line, we had DeForest Buckner, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
We're a smash mouth team, and Frank Reich. We beat the Chiefs last year, and now Patrick Mahomes, to their credit, was limping.
Yeah.
But we're a team that could go out there and beat the Ravens in a playoff game just because we're going to smash you in the mouth and we're going to say, come at us and try us. And like I said, if Phillip Rivers has a pulse, that'd be great. That's my biggest flaw. I cannot stand that dude. But hey, I really think the Colts are a tough team, and they are well coached, and they can win this division by a pretty good margin if Phillip Rivers plays good.
Well, on the Vegas Squares podcast, your second round draft pick didn't get the nickname Jonathan Taylor turnover for no reason. So you better hold on to the ball.
Oh, yeah. And Jacob Eason, by the way, I think it's funny that we drafted him because the guy with turnover issues learning from Phillip Rivers is just stupid to me because they both turn the ball over.
That's fair. So, all right, John. So we've got Texans in. We've got Colts in. We can rule the Jaguars out unless you feel like taking a flyer.
No. Even I won't do that. But I will agree with Aaron. I mean, the Colts, you're getting plus 120. You got a turnover machine at quarterback that you brought in there. I'm not big on Phillip Rivers. I like him fantasy wise. If you don't get points taken away for throwing picks, I kind of like him as your backup.
Yeah, he and Stafford are big time players in that league.
Oh yeah, and don't forget Baker Mayfield. But I'd go with the Texans just because you got the best quarterback in the division on your team. So go with it. You're getting 3-1.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Tony, what do you think? I know you and I are not on the same side of the Texans. I don't know. Not a lot is talked about with Tennessee. I'm going to say, like I said, I think Derrick Henry runs out of gas this year. I think last year was a fluke. They just, caught hot at the right time, which I guess is half the battle. But Tennessee at plus 150, Indianapolis plus 120, and Houston at plus 380.
I think the prices are pretty fair in this division. I don't have a clear-cut winner myself. I'm a huge Mike Vrabel fan. I think what he's done with that team is phenomenal. Yes. Enormous fan. I was one of the lucky ones that did end up betting on them against Baltimore in the playoffs. So I'm forever grateful for Mike Vrabel and what he's done with that team. But it's just, as you said, there's not a lot that excites you, about the club. Yes, the way that the team is set up. Again, the scheming from week to week, the amount of chances that he will take on the offensive side of the ball with players that, are pretty unexpected to do so, how much he goes for on fourth down. He's a really, really smart coach. But at the end of the day, do I really like them a lot more than Houston? Do I like them a lot more than Indy? Not really. No, there's not anybody I'm a big fan here. There is simply one team that I am absolutely vehemently against. And again, keep it simple. Keep it simple. Let's not overthink things. My third now bet that I have made already is Jacksonville. Under 5 wins. That's 5 flat. Minus 130. They're 4.5 at a lot of places, so that's kind of nice. This was the first one that I bet.
Under 5?
I mean, can they get to 6? Can they get to 6? I've looked at the schedule. I've looked at the roster. I've done everything I can. I don't see 6. I don't
going
see
to try
6.
to get to 4.
And they're
I
not
don't
even.
see 3.
I don't really very much see 3 or 4 either. I'm with you guys. So again, let's keep it simple. Let's do what we can. Stay in our lane, and I'm very much against Jacksonville here. So I got this Jacksonville under 5. I know we're making division predictions, so I will make one, I guess. If I had to take one, I think I'm going to go with Indy here. I'm not. Again, I'm not sold on the number. I wouldn't be betting this, from a betting perspective. But if I have to just take a flyer here, I don't think there's any question that Phillip Rivers can still play. Do I hate him too? Yeah, everybody does. But I just the guy
Except for his wife.
Oh yeah, his wife and his 19 kids. I'm sure
Yeah,
they're all very happy. But
And counting.
he knows how to play the game, and that's all you really need on this type of team. I think there's a lot of good players on offense here. That offensive line has also quietly been pretty decent the last couple of years. You can talk about that, Mike. I mean, it was a train wreck for a while, but they've gotten better. They've gotten better. So
what forced Andrew Luck to retire, you would think.
Thank you.
Basically, yeah. Good point. So that's the team I would take to win the division.
All right, let's move into, in my opinion, the best division in the AFC, and that's the AFC North. Baltimore lands somewhat of a close to Kansas City line. They are minus 300 to win the North Division here. But I think there's some teams that could be improved. I'm curious to see with the Steelers what they have now that Ben Roethlisberger's back, if he can maybe recapture some of that 2015 and before glory. They played fantastic defense. One of Mike Tomlin's best coaching jobs that he has put in his time in Pittsburgh. I mean, to get to 8-8 was huge. Cleveland, there's no talking out of Cleveland this year, which may be a good thing for them. I mean, after all of the shit they talked last year to come out and just look that terrible. This is a make or break year for Baker Mayfield, in my opinion. I think that this is going to be a put up or shut up. And if it's not, I'm curious to see what Stefanski does with that one. I mean, in your first year as a head coach, you want to blow up the team. You better get a real vote of confidence from the Brown staff in that regard, because they don't usually have a track record of holding on to coaches more than maybe 35 games. But again, Baltimore faced an early, ugly exit in the playoffs last year. Revenge could be on their mind. They're loaded again. Lamar Jackson, every week or every so often that I think, this league has figured them out, they have not. So this year is going to be interesting, in my opinion. I think Baltimore is obviously way more talented than any team on this in this division. And then, of course, we have the Bengals at 28-1 to win this division. Probably not going to be tanking like the Jaguars are, but the talent levels surprisingly, obviously better than the Jags, but they're in a way better division than the Jags are. So, Mike, since you said it first, the AFC North, your thoughts on this division?
First of all, this is the one division. I mean, first of all, the Browns could have a very realistic shot at making the playoffs as the 7th seed, albeit the NFL kind of gifted them that. So if there's a chance to make the playoffs, this is their year. Bengals, I believe, are the worst team in football, because they're going to be better than you think, but they're still going to finish last in their division. Steelers' defense I love it. Their defense is young. They have a lot of nice pieces, topped off by Minkah Fitzpatrick last year. They're going to be really good. Ravens will win, and they might go 15-1. I'm a huge Lamar Jackson guy. I have always been a Lamar Jackson guy. And the reason why I'm a Lamar Jackson guy, especially this year, not only have they kept basically the same team, and they've gotten better in the draft. The guy who's the quarterback coach, Greg something, I forgot his name. He was the guy who brought Colin Kaepernick to the Super Bowl a few years ago. I think it's Greg. I think that's what I'm going to say is Greg Roman. He has made Lamar Jackson look better than I thought he was, because of the way that system has turned out for him. I don't know what the bets are for Lamar Jackson winning back-to-back MVPs. That would be one I would definitely take. He is not going to have a fall-off. He will be just as good. But I still think Steelers could give them heck. I still think Ravens win the division, but I think it's a great division, like Aaron said.
Yeah, it probably will end up being the most competitive division here. And the question I really want to know, and you could take this from a fantasy perspective, or you could take this from just any way you want, John, is the only way I think that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be able to compete with the Baltimore Ravens is if Ben Roethlisberger comes back as his former self. Because we all know he's getting up there like Rodgers, and some of these guys excel, Brady, Rodgers, et cetera, and some of these guys fall off. And which way will Ben Roethlisberger go, in your opinion?
Well, the difference between those two guys and Ben Roethlisberger is you don't have the injury problems with those two guys. Rodgers a little bit, Brady no. Ben Roethlisberger's been hurt 4 out of the last 5 years. He missed 13 games last year. I had him on one of my teams. So they don't know it yet, but Pittsburgh's rebuilding. Yeah, they're going to have to go find a quarterback. They're going to have to go find a running back. They're going to have to go find a capable wide receiver. I don't like Juju Smith-Schuster. I do. Okay. But they're going to have to rebuild the offense. The defense is good. And actually, I've been waiting for this. I've been waiting for this division. Pittsburgh, forget Pittsburgh. I don't like them. I don't know what their under and over is, but we'll get to that. I'm going to probably go under on that. Baltimore, don't like them either. They got Lamar Jackson. I do not expect them. Don't commit harakiri, Michael. Don't do it. They have a book on him now. You saw how he started out last year. He started out great, and then people started understanding what was going on. They couldn't stop him, but they started.
I can't stop you, but I can understand you.
Well, they did stop him in the most important game. Now they did figure him out, and now that you see the blueprint, other teams are going to do that. So don't expect them to do the same thing he did last year. They got rid of their big pickup last year. That's going to be so huge. People aren't considering that yet. They got rid of
that's safety, right?
Yes.
Earl Thomas.
He's good.
Earl Thomas.
Yes, Earl Thomas. That is going to be so big for that defense, especially during the preseason, I guess you want to call it. That's why at 5.5, Cleveland, you're getting juice with it. You've got pieces on defense. You've got good pieces on defense. You've got an offense. You've got 2 running backs. You've got a quarterback that, with a coach coming in, that we're running the ball and we're going to throw to the running backs. That's what we're doing. Okay, we're not airing it out. We're not going crazy. And they won, and Stefanski, Minnesota. He's been with Minnesota for like 15 years. He's been through 3 head coaches. He's the one guy. Every head coach that came in, we want that guy. Let's keep that. Everybody else, you guys get lost. Well, we're keeping that guy. So there's something about this guy. I like the way he's the way he runs his offense. And there's always one new coach that exceeds expectations. I think he's the guy, and I think Cleveland at 5.5. That's the bet. Of all the bets I've given you so far, I'm like, man, I'll take that. That's the one I'd actually bet.
Austin Hooper is a great signing, by the way.
And Austin Hooper, too.
I like Austin Hooper a lot. Go ahead, Tony.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is really an interesting take because I'm with you guys. I think this is probably the highest quality division, top to bottom that there is in the AFC. So, I unfortunately don't have any wagers on here. I'm kind of a little bit lost in the shuffle. Yeah, I'm just not sure. I'm not in the, Baltimore's in the 15-1 camp necessarily, but I'm also not that dismissing them, on the other side either. I don't really know. I do know that a quarterback that runs this often does not end well. I don't know when it's going to end. It could be years down the road. I don't know, but it doesn't end well. And I assume that Lamar Jackson and the offense and the play calling is going to have to change as time progresses.
Yeah.
It just has to be. He's going to become a better passer. I think he's good enough to get better. He still has some happy feet. I don't like what I see. Sometimes the way he will leave the pocket a little too early, and he won't keep his eyes down the field. But I have some faith. If he's upright, I have some faith in this team. But again, if I had to bet anything here, because I just think it's so wide open in that sense, especially if you do get a Lamar Jackson injury. If and when that does come, I would go ahead and take a flyer on Cincinnati at 25-1. I guess you said there's 28, maybe, Aaron. So that's even better. I take the flyer on Cincinnati and just try to play the Joe Burrow card, and maybe you'll catch lightning here. The guy did make the biggest ascension I've ever seen. I watch college football very closely. Never seen a guy go from sort of where he was to becoming the most elite passer in the game last year. That was an unbelievable thing. A lot of great players around him, no question about it. But Again, is it likely to happen and continue at this level? No, it's not. But at 25-1 to win a division, when I think the main team or the team that's clearly the best in the division is really tied to one player, on offense, I'll take a shot here with that team. But again, I haven't bet it. I'm probably not going to. But I'll go with you guys on the actual breakdown of the teams. I haven't been able to do it. I tried. I looked at it. I wasn't able to come up with anything good.
Well, it's funny, Tony. You and I know you're taking a flyer on it, and anything could happen. But I am on the complete opposite side of the Cincinnati Bengals. The only bet I have in this division right now is the under 5.5 wins. Yeah,
sure.
At -105. I struggle to see 5 wins, and that includes games against the Jaguars and the football team. I think, despite the fact that the weapons are around him, and that's going to be the only saving grace. You're right. Joe Burrow's sample size is one glorious season with a lot of talent around him, and that could be the transition with a lot of talent around him that they could surprise some people. I don't like the defense. The defense does not play well at all. I see under 5.5.
I see 4-12.
Yeah, I was going to say 3-13, 4-12. But the good thing for them is they can actually go now get a skill position player or a stud anchor on defense instead of having to figure out, Trevor Lawrence or something like that. I don't see it, but you're right. I mean, this is for a 25-1. If a division kind of beats itself up, it's this one right here. That's a decent.
And it could all fall apart. And I'm with you. It could all fall apart. Again, it's the reason why I just don't really know. And could it all fall apart? Absolutely, it could. So
sure.
I don't hate the bet at all on your side there for sure.
So all right, let's switch gears, move into the NFC here, and we'll talk about. We had an argument on our last podcast about the worst division in football. And I think we came to the consensus that this division is, and it's the NFC East. I think that
Mike says no.
Mike says, you think the NFC North is the worst division in football?
What?
We can talk. We'll get there, but yeah.
Okay. But anyways, we'll start with the NFC East here, and the Dallas Cowboys are the betting favorites. Let me make sure I think it might have changed, actually. Yep, Dallas Cowboys are the betting favorites at -115 here, according to mybookie.ag. You also have Philadelphia Eagles +130, the New York Giants at 11-1, and the Washington football team. That's going to be weird to say all year, but Washington football team at 22-1. I mean, the reason initial thoughts on why it might be the worst division is that two teams struggled, beat each other up tooth and nail just to go 8-8. Or I think they might have gone 9-7. I can't remember what Philly went last year, but it wasn't.
9-7. Eagles went 9-7.
Okay, 9-7, but 8-8 might have also won the division. I think if the Cowboys would have done something weird, I don't know. Anyways, point being is that any division where mediocrity is rewarded like that, we've had it in the past where I think the Panthers were like 7-9 one year and went. Seahawks 7-9. I just can't trust a division of mediocrity like that. So. That being said, I still like the Dallas Cowboys, and we'll get to this later, as one of my Super Bowl contenders. As crazy as I'm just talking about that. If they can finally put it all together, they got the talent to hang and compete with anybody on both sides of the ball. Anyways, this division is what, Mike?
It's going to be surprising this year, in my opinion. Washington football team is the equivalent of Jacksonville, in my opinion. I don't know what they're going to do this year. I'm not a fan of Dwayne Haskins, never have been. I was against the grain on that one, and it looked pretty good right now. I believe the Eagles, I gained so much respect for Carson Wentz last year for what he had to deal with. Oh, like you said, 9-7, I mean, that's rewarding mediocrity. But he went out there and he beat the Cowboys. And, I mean, that's pretty good to me. I believe the Cowboys are the best in the division. Of course, we say that every year, but I think this year – they're going to prove it. I think they win by week 15 or week 16. They will have won the division for the first time in a while. And I believe the Giants have a good chance of going 7-9, 8-8, 6-10, which isn't bad for them because I like Daniel Jones. Saquon Barkley's back. Darius Slayton came out of the woodworks last year. Turns out that GM can draft pretty well compared to the popular opinion. I think it's going to be a 3-team race, but I think the Cowboys end up pulling away late, and the Eagles and Giants can figure out second place.
Look, with all due respect, I'm on the same wagon as you as far as Dwayne Haskins. I'm not high on Dwayne Haskins, but I think you're jumping to some conclusions real early on the Danny Jones, Dwayne Haskins comparison. I love the fact that we're going to get to see them twice a year face each other to basically prove this point for the next, hopefully, decade. I don't know if they'll last that long.
If Haskins was
I
good,
think we could get that this year, and that's about it.
if Haskins was good, I would love that, but he's not. So
Well, let's see. You got Ron Rivera in the new system. Ron Rivera was famous for making who good? Cam Newton. This guy is built, and hopefully his mindset is very similar to Cam Newton's in this spot. I'm hoping for good things. I hate to see a team that isn't actively tanking. They just stink in the NFL. But, yeah, it's going to be a long season for them. John, with the Eagles here, I know they've been snake-bitten a little bit with Alshon Jeffrey and the other first-round pick, Jalen Reagor. But good Lord, I mean, every year it seems like Carson Wentz has no one to throw to.
No, he throws that's why if you're playing fantasy football, Zach Ertz. There you go.
Yes.
Because he's the only guy who plays. Alshon Jeffrey, he was good when he was with the Bears. Oh, speaking of the Bears, Mike, you said the first game that you picked was the Bears and the Colts. Was Jim Harbaugh the quarterback for either of those teams when you picked that game?
No, it was probably the Super Bowl.
Rexy.
Yeah.
Rex Grossman. Devin Hester opened it with the game with a 106-yard kickoff return in the rain.
Okay.
And they still got blown out.
No, they still got crushed.
Yeah, they still lost by fucking 50.
Amen.
For the Eagles, yeah, their wide receivers can't stay on the field. Reagor, all right, we got this kid now. He's hurt. So they're going to throw the ball to the tight end, and now they drafted Goddard, so it's just going to be 2 tight end sets, and whichever tight end gets open, we're going to throw to that guy. And every once in a while.
How about Deshaun Jackson at age 60? Deshaun Jackson in a walker? Just trying to get him out there?
Tony,
Yeah.
he just had
about Deshaun Jackson.
He just had a birthday. He's 61 now.
61, okay,
Deshaun Jackson, Adrian Peterson are in a race to see who can go the longest and still be good.
Oh, brutal.
It's amazing.
It's
I mean, if Deshaun Jackson scores a touchdown, is this his celebration dance?
Pretty much.
Oh my gosh, that was a bad. That was a great joke, but that was bad.
Hey, he posted it, not me.
That was bad.
All right, so how do you see this division playing out there, John?
There's no odds here except for the Giants. I think the Giants could, if they stay healthy, they could put up a lot of points. So I'd go with the 11-1. I don't like laying.
Not on a division, no.
Unless it's blonde, I don't like laying. So, and the Eagles, you're getting 130 here on my bookie. So I'll take the 11. I'll take the 11-1 to Giants. Hopefully they outscore enough people. Everybody else beats each other up, and they win 10 games with the division.
Yeah, I mean, I can respect
Very
that.
possible.
I'm high on Danny Dimes as well. I thought he was the better of the 2 picks, despite the college success. He seemed more pro-ready. He seemed more Eli Manning-esque. Again, time will tell with those 2 quarterbacks, and the good thing is we'll get to see them play each other, well, indefinitely. Let's call it that.
And he has a better offense. He has better players around.
He does, and I'll agree with that. The question is with the defense, but I don't dislike that New York Giants 11-1 pick, especially like you said. This division, and in our opinion, mine and Tony's, might be the worst in football. So if somebody has to, if some turd has to come up smelling like a rose, it might be the 11-1 Giants.
Yep.
Tony, what do you think?
Yep, I'm with you guys. I've been trying to figure out a way to bet against Dallas, or how does Dallas screw this up? Because it happens every year. So I tried really hard. I have to give myself an E for effort, certainly. But top to bottom, this roster is so much better than the other 3 teams. I'm just trying to do it. I mean, they do it every year. I got to figure it out. I can't get around it. They seem like the best team in this division, and it doesn't seem all that close. So if I have to pick a winner, I'm going to go with Dallas. I mean, you talk about that offense is just absolutely elite from top to bottom. Everywhere you look, every position, there's a high-quality player. I'm not the biggest fan of the quarterback. That's the worst play. That's the worst position they have on offense. Clearly the most important, but
and he's not bad.
He doesn't have to do much. Exactly. There just doesn't have to be a lot to happen. I don't know. And they get 6 games against these turd whacks here in this division. I have to go with Dallas here. I did make, however, a wager yesterday. This is now we're up to number 4 for our season win bets. Philadelphia, again, I'll just let John just kind of say, he said it really pretty much everything. Philadelphia is not in a good position here. And the only thing I'll add is the schedule is actually brutal for Philadelphia. Their schedule rivals. Yeah, it rivals Dallas with how difficult it is. So again, I don't think they'll get through the first half of the schedule. It's really bad if you look at it top to bottom. I know we got to get to a lot more, so I'm not going to go through it. But Philadelphia under 9.5, minus 130. Found that at a book out here, and this might be one of my favorites out of all of these. So can Philadelphia get to 10? I just don't think they can at all. They can't do it. So under 9.5, I think they win 7 or 8, and Dallas probably runs away with this thing. And, Mike, do they have this thing wrapped up by 15 or 16? I think you might be onto something there. I really do. So,
One thing about the Eagles, they're right up the road from me. Every bounce goes their way. Every bounce.
Well, hopefully not this year. That's all I can ask. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned, Tony, about the Eagles under. I actually have that same bet on mybookie.ag as well.
Good.
Under 9.5, minus 130. They struggled to get 9 last year, and it just doesn't seem like, the path. It just seems like you said, they're snake bitten by a lot of different things.
I don't think they got better.
No, they didn't.
Got better.
No, they didn't get better. Yeah.
And I actually have a second bet in there as a testament to your 11-1 pick. I have the over on the New York Giants. It's over 6 at minus 110 as well. I looked, I prayed, I searched everywhere I found because I was going to pound this if I could find it at 9.5. But unfortunately, the best I found is 10.5. I want to take the over. If you can find Dallas over 9.5, I would love to know where you found it because I cannot find anything less than 10.
I don't think it exists. Yeah. I don't think it does. Yeah.
So if you can find Dallas anywhere at 9.5, I take the over. I think this is a 11-5 football team.
I was about to say 11-5, 12-4.
Yeah. So all right, let's move into the NFC. Yeah, move into the NFC West here. And
best division of football.
Now, see, that's funny because on our previous podcast, we did have one dissenter that said it was the worst division of football, which we all vehemently disagreed.
Yeah, that was not a good take. I agree with that.
And he doesn't even drink. That's the worst part.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
But we do have the reigning NFC champion 49ers here with the playoff bound last year Seahawks. The Rams took a step back last year, finished 7-9, and the Cardinals, again, we're hoping for big things out of the Cardinals, even if it's not in the W column. They're definitely exciting to watch with Kyler Murray and now with Deandre Hopkins. In this one, let me find the odds here because I just had it. All right, so the San Francisco 49ers are minus 110. Seattle is 2-1 to win the NFC West. Los Angeles 5.5 to 1, and the Cardinals 6-1. Speaking of a chaotic division that might find itself with an unorthodox winner, Vegas in the offshore seems to think that Arizona may be able to have a better chance than these other football team, Jaguars and et cetera, things like that. These 20-1 pluses. Arizona is actually a lot closer to their favorite than most of the other divisions. This division, it's tough because I would arguably say that all 4 teams are good and all 4 teams are arguably competitive with one another. Arizona is probably on paper the least talented team, but it's hard really to rule them out. Like you said, with Philly, if the ball bounces the right way, this team can definitely win this division, in my opinion. San Francisco, the real question is trusting Jimmy Garoppolo. The running game's going to be there. Deebo Samuel.
What a throw, by the way, in the Super Bowl. To Emmanuel Sanders, that was a great throw.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the interception to Tyrann Mathieu. I'm like,
I actually got it. No, I got what he was going after. I remembered it too. Yeah, it was a good one.
The defense is going to, be the bedrock of this. I'm curious to see how this 3-headed split's going to go in the running back, especially with Mostert already kind of being not happy about his contract situation. The only thing I can see with San Francisco that makes them fall back to the pack, again, this is a very close pack, but makes them fall back to potentially not winning this division, is team chemistry and contract issues. And that's the only thing I see. Other than that, I feel like they're the most complete, solid team in here. But as Tony Johnson knows, I have a soft spot for Russell Wilson. So I can never count out my boys in Seattle. So, Mike, you said it first. You've been saying it first every division. How you feeling about the NFC West?
Very good division. I think every team goes over 5 wins. Or at least 4, but I think 5 would be the bolder take there, so I'm going to go with 5. Every team will be decent. But there is no Bengals. There is no Washington. There is no NFC North. There's a Chicago. There is no team like that. These teams can all beat each other up, like Aaron said. I think the Rams finished 5-11. I'm not a fan of Jared Goff, and their running back might be Cam Akers. We don't even know right now. Yeah. Cardinals, I love Kyler Murray. I think they were They were supposed to be like 1-15 or 2-14 last year, and they eked out like 6 or 7 wins. That's unreal to me. On how competitive they were. I have Seahawks and the 49ers, of course, running this division. Although it is a competitive division, I still think they run the division. Chemistry is a huge thing because I remember watching the Super Bowl last year. There has no correlation with any sports takes. I was looking at like Kyle Shanahan, Jimmy G, George Kittle, John Lynch. These guys look like a bunch of punks, a bunch of self-righteous dudes who just like, we got it made. This is for San Francisco, and that's not the case to me. I think Seahawks could give them fits for the division win. I still think 49ers win the division. But I think Seahawks are going to be right there on their tails the entire year.
That's fair enough. Yeah, like I said, this is probably the toughest one to handicap in my opinion. I have a couple of win totals I'll say at the end. But, John, how are you feeling about the NFC West?
Seattle. I'll take Seattle. I think 49ers have a Super Bowl hangover. I'm not in love with Jimmy G. Deebo Samuel already hurt. I hate when guys come into the season hurt because you always run the risk of them never getting right throughout the whole season. I love the running game, but you've got 2 of the 3-headed monsters that are kind of limping along. And if something happens to the other head, then you're getting no head this year. So what are you going to do?
Bazinga.
Not ideal.
Wow.
No, we need heads. So
oh my God.
I don't like the Rams. I don't like the Rams at all. They mortgaged way too much for the guys that are supposed to be good that have never really done anything. Jalen Ramsey, Dante Fowler, who they got rid of. The Cardinals maybe, but they have a bad defense. So I like Seattle, and I definitely like the Jamal Adams pickup.
That was huge.
Help out the secondary. Yeah, they tried to do it last year with Clowney to bring in a big guy and kind of make the defense revolve around that. But I think having Jamal Adams back there, did they sign him to a long-term deal? I don't know if they did.
I don't think they have yet, but it'll get done here soon.
It did not happen yet, I don't believe, yeah.
But when that gets done, I like that as being the stopgap back there. It's going to stop a lot of big plays. And I think Seattle wins the division. Take them at 2-1.
There you go. I like that.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tony, again, this is the toughest one to handicap here. I'm not as low on the Rams as I think Mike is, but at the same time, yeah, you're right. Jared Goff, it's funny, the drunk guy who said that the NFC West is the worst division also may have had the best take I've heard in the last couple of years. And that after that Super Bowl against the Patriots, Jared Goff is a terrible quarterback once the microphone in his headset goes off. All you got to do is change the defense once the microphone goes off, and Sean McVay can't hold his hand. And you know what? I'm starting to believe it. It really showed itself last year in the fact that, he does look a little scared. Doesn't look like he's really progressing like a first-round pick, like a good quarterback, like a number 1 quarterback. So I'm hoping that there's a development with him, but I'm starting to believe that might be the case, and I might have to give him credit for that. As much
he
as I
throws
hate
the ball so soft too. I don't know. His ball doesn't have any zip on it, I've noticed.
Needs more head.
That's right. Real quick, I want to make this because I said this on my podcast. I want to make it clear. The Rams are going to have to make a decision after this year. Sean McVay or Jared Goff. They will make a huge mistake if they fire McVay and keep Goff. They should get rid of Goff if this year goes bad, like I think it will.
Well, good luck trading that contract.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I think he's on the books still it's not a very team-friendly contract from what I understand. So, yeah, it's going to be rough. But, I'm certainly with you, Mike. If getting rid of Sean McVay would be a really, really bad move. I think they're going to get better this year, and not because of Jared Goff. Not at all. I think you guys all make great points. You really do. I think you make a lot of great points. I think defensively they're going to be a lot better. I think the guys that have moved on were the right decisions. Guy named Darius Williams, who's going to be playing opposite Jalen Ramsey, came back after an injury and played 4 games last year and was absolutely phenomenal. I think he had 2 or 3 interceptions in his last 3 games, and he moves extremely well. He's a really, really big guy. He's going to be, in my opinion, the bright spot, surprise spot here in this division on defense. So those 2 guys, him and Ramsey there at corner, I think can be left alone a little bit, and that will free up a lot of space and the linebackers to do a lot more work. I think this defense is going to be much, much improved. So while I don't think it's certainly going to be because of Jared Goff, I like the Rams here this year. If I have to be from the betting perspective, which I know we're trying to come after, I would take the Rams here at 6-1 to win this division. I do think that's enough to bet. Now, if we're just randomly, just deciding to pick, a winner, I guess I would have to go with San Francisco. But again, from the betting perspective, I'm taking the Rams. But I do, in an exciting way, do have the 5th season win, my 5th and final one. Nothing, unfortunately, on the NFC North, but the 5th and final one here. The only way I'll push back here is from you, Mike, and a few other comments here was Arizona. I think this Arizona team is ripe to take a fall. I really do. I love Kyler Murray. Let that be said.
Right.
I like him. He's not only fun to watch, as you said, Aaron, but I think the development phase is going to be a lot of fun to watch from him. What I don't like is Cliff Kingsbury, and I don't like him at all. And now the transition from coaching in college to the NFL, certainly there's a lot of hurdles for there to get over. But I watched a ton. I still do a ton of Big 12 football. Cliff Kingsbury, I feel like I know really, really well. He is a very, very poor in-game coach. And I think there's going to be a lot of highlighted spots here, I think, as the years go on, especially with this one, where we now have a little bit of a book on what's going on. They took a lot of teams by surprise with some of the play calling last year. And now we've seen a lot, and Kingsbury gets out-coached in games. He's not only not great, in my opinion, in regards to the X's and O's and needing to make changes, but he's not good at just utilizing timeouts. He's not good at utilizing time. He's not good at handling situations. And they're going to be in a lot of close games here, and I don't like this team in close games. I like these other teams. I like these teams that are coached by Pete Carroll and Sean McVay and Shanahan. I mean, these are the guys I want to be on in these spots. So I think these division games are going to be tough. It's not the easiest schedule for Arizona either. Yeah, now granted, it's not nearly as bad as some of these other two top teams, but I got Arizona under 7.5 minus 110 here. Confident in it. Really like it. But if I had to bet the division, I would take the Rams at plus 600.
That's a great – that might be the take of the night. That was a great take, by the way. That Cliff Kingsbury note, that was nice. Because I have them at like 6 and 10 or 7 and 9. So that's a great bet as well.
Yep.
But
Yeah, I think that's max 7.
That's the ceiling for him, too.
That's the ceiling. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's a great – I love everything you just said. Like, you may have convinced me that Rams might be a little bit better, if not way better. But like I said, the whole division might win 4 or 5 games at least.
Yeah,
You got to remember, sometimes
division.
scheduling is huge based on your previous, standings last year. I mean, having a first-place
Right.
schedule versus having a third-place schedule. I mean, they had a first-place schedule last year, and, they took a step back. That's kind of what happens with the Super Bowl losing teams. They kind of have that hangover, but we'll see. I mean, McVay, if anybody's going to be able to turn that team around, it's going to be McVay. And you're right. I mean, being able to maybe hopefully have the time with this offseason with Goff to, again, maybe once the headset goes off, he can read a few defenses this year. So he's definitely not lacking with his receiving core. And the running back situation, my guess is Akers will eventually be handed the reins. I think they're going to give Henderson every shot to keep that at bay, but I don't think it's going to last very long. Two bets I have here in that same division are both win totals. They do not have anything to do with Arizona, though. They do have everything to do with the top 2 teams based on division betting, and that is the Seattle Seahawks. Now, Tony, relax. Hold on a second before you're surprised. Temper the surprise. I have the Seattle Seahawks under 9.5 plus 110.
Wow.
I think they're 8-8 this year, and I love Russell Wilson. I love everything
That's
about
a huge
him.
deal coming from you, Aaron. It really is.
You of all people should know I am not high on this. I mean, how high I usually am on the Seahawks. The 12th man matters, and I think that it's going to.
Okay.
It's going to affect. I think it's going to affect a lot of these games this year. I think crowd is going to affect.
Oh, yeah.
When a visiting team's offense can run their plays with no problems. I mean, how much we shit on Jameis Winston? He almost walked into Seattle and beat him with the crowd. I mean, it's
interesting.
I'm under 9.5. I think 9 and 7 is about where they'll be. So I don't think they're going to get double-digit wins this year, and I think they're going to miss the playoffs. That being said, I think San Francisco is going to win this division, and I think they're going to win it at somewhere around 11-5, 12-4. So I am taking the over 10.5 wins on San Francisco at even money.
Wow.
So, yeah, as
interesting
crazy.
takes. Yeah, that is pretty good. I did not know you were on these sides. Yeah, this is totally – I am a little shocked. You're right. Wow.
So Tony just went from the best take of the night. Aaron just might have – let me shut up. Might have had the – okay.
You can say what you want, man. That's the beauty of this opinion show.
Yeah, it's all opinions.
Dude,
absolutely.
if you knew how high I've been on Russell Wilson and the Seahawks over the last
it's amazing. Yes.
I like Wilson.
I love everything about Russell Wilson.
Oh
God.
God.
I think the 12th man matters, and so we'll see.
I love his wife.
There you go. Okay.
That was for TALKMAN.
All right, move to the NFC North here before that gets any weirder. It is a division that is always notoriously, despite Mike's hot take, has been a very tough division to be in for every team. The Bears have won a lot of teams. It's been a little flip-flop here. Bears have won it. Vikings have won it. Packers have won it over the last few years. RIP Lions. But
Yeah.
it's definitely always a competitive division, even with the Lions. The Lions are a relatively competitive team, even, as long as Matt Stafford's healthy. So I really like this division. I have a few bets in this division. I'll save them for last. But Mike, the NFC North, you said it was the worst division. Now you're going to have to defend that tape.
Okay, so this is the one division where I can confidently say there might be 3 teams under 10 wins. Like every last team on there. Like, besides the Packers, I believe the Packers will win the division, but it's not going to be pretty. I think Aaron Rodgers does not like. I don't think he's going to have some revenge tour where he shows the world he's still Aaron Rodgers. I think that he and their head coach are not a great. They're not good one-on-one right now. Vikings, I mean, they lost Stephon Diggs. They lost their offensive coordinator, who Johnson had been there for 15 years. And I don't know what we're relying on. We're relying on Kirk Cousins to bail them out. Lions, their running back issue, they had to sign Adrian Peterson just to have a functioning running back squad. Matthew Stafford has always been underwhelming. As for the Bears, they got it right with Mitchell Trubisky. I believe he did deserve another chance over Nick Fluke Foles. And I believe the Packers win the division, but this is just ugly division. I'm sorry. It's an ugly division. Packers are the best team in that division. I don't even know if it's that, whoa, we're the Packers. I don't even know if it's that impressive.
It definitely wasn't last year. I can tell you that. They were very unimpressive, 13-3 last year. Now, let me go off on a tangent here. He just mentioned Nick Fluke Foles. Will there ever come a day, John, you're in the Philadelphia area, will there ever come a day, John, where Eagle fans regret keeping Carson Wentz?
No.
Nah. I mean, I don't think so. I mean, obviously, if you follow, Nick Foles was here, and then he left, and he came back. Carson Wentz, you see what, if it wasn't for, if Nick Foles would have played that whole year, they would not have gotten to the Super Bowl.
That's
Carson
fair.
Wentz got them.
That's a rational take. We're talking about Philly fan here.
That's a great
No, Philly fans 16-0 every year, and we're going to win the Super Bowl. That's before the season starts. That's what it is. Every year, 16-0, 14-2 if we're having an off year. That's the way it is over here. But Nick Foles, in terms of this division, outside of Philly, he stinks. That's just the way it is.
That's fair.
Outside of Philly, he stinks. When he's here, he's throwing 7 touchdowns against the Raiders. But he's throwing 5 for 500 yards against the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Outside of here, he's throwing for 163 with 1 touchdown and 2 picks. That's just the way. It's just the way it is. For this division, I guess you got to go Green Bay. They got the best quarterback. If you're looking at divisions, that's you break it. That's the way I break it down. Who's got the best quarterback? Especially in divisions like when there's not a clear cut.
It's not close to me. Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback in the division. It's not close.
Yeah, exactly.
Historically, or as it stands right now?
Historically, well, just as it stands right now, it's not even close. Aaron Rodgers is by
I think it's a lot closer than you think. But
you think it's Matt Stafford?
No, I think it's Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins. I think Kirk Cousins is good, but I think Aaron Rodgers and I actually disagree with Mike. I think towards the end of the season, the second half of the season, he started figuring out getting in sync with this offense and getting a lot better. Fantasy wise, you could see he was throwing for 1 touchdown, 2 touchdowns, kind of having an okay year. And then I think week 9, it just went to he had a 5 touchdown game and then a 3 touchdown game after. He started getting after that. Now, will that translate into this year? I don't know. It's got a better chance to than not to, I think, because he's one of the best quarterbacks, not only in the league, probably ever. So, excuse me. I'll go with Green Bay. They got the 2 guys coming off the edge to put pressure on the other team's quarterback. That's always good.
Devontae Adams is back too.
Devontae Adams is back. They need a secondary receiver besides Devontae Adams, but they picked up A.J. Dillon in the draft. Excuse me, damn it. I'm not big on Aaron Jones. I'm not huge on him. He had a great year last year, but he was he had just over 1,000 yards, and he had 200 and something carries, low 200s in his carries. So I think I'll go with Green Bay just because they have the best quarterback. Because Chicago has the best defense, I think. Minnesota has the best overall team, I think. And Detroit has Oduka.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Not the best at anything. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. They have the best draft pick.
All right, Tony. This is a very close between the Packers and the Vikings division. The division betting. Vikings are the slight favorite at plus 170. Green Bay plus 180. The Bears plus 375, and the Detroit Lions plus 500 here in this spot. Mike says it's the worst division, but I don't really agree with him. How about you, Phil?
Yeah, I mean, I don't agree that it's the worst division. I do think it's a bit of a step back from what we've seen maybe in previous years. But I wouldn't put it in the worst category. But I'm not worried about that. I got a couple of heaters here. This is probably my favorite spot for some futures. So I'll go ahead and fire. I'm ready to go here. I think Minnesota is the class of this division. I really, really do. I have been very anti Kirk Cousins. I lived in the D.C. area for a while before I moved out here to Las Vegas. And so I was never a fan of this guy. He was a train wreck from beginning to end. He made bad decisions. He did stupid things at the end of games. He was lackluster in every regard. That has changed. That has changed over the last 2 or 3 years. I've watched very closely. I think he's much, much improved. I'm not going to say he's better than Aaron Rodgers, Mike. I won't go that far. But I don't think it necessarily has to go that far. He doesn't have to do a ton. I really like what's happened here. And again, the loss of the offensive coordinator and Kevin Stefanski, I'm seeing this as a positive. Gary Kubiak is fully here now. And a lot of the rise that we saw last year was when Kubiak actually stepped in and started doing some scheming on a week-to-week basis. That happened in week 6 or 7, from what I understand. Gary is the best in the business at this. He is phenomenal. And the fact that he's there now full-time, ready to go, I know he gets along really, really well with Cousins. I think there is something here a lot. I'm not worried about the loss of the wide receiver. I really, really like this team. So my biggest take here, I'll go ahead and fire one off a la Mike style. I think Minnesota wraps this thing up by week 15. I really do. I really like this team. If you look at their schedule down the stretch, it's awesome. It's really, really soft. This division does play the AFC South as well when they go across. That can only be favorable. I really like the spot here. So I'm pretty across the board. I got Minnesota. I wish I had the plus 170 because I already bet the plus 160 for Minnesota to win the NFC North. I like Mike Zimmer to win Coach of the Year at 40-1.
That's a good bet.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty good too. If they can win 12 or 13 games, it could be a legit thing. I have your favorite quarterback, Mike Kirk Cousins, at 100-1 to win the MVP. So I can buy a new car if he wins the MVP. So that'll be kind of fun. And there you go, Minnesota going through here, and I think they could be a force to be reckoned with in the playoffs.
Yeah,
Alvin Cook would win MVP if anything.
It's hard for a running back to do that, man. Unless they run for 2K.
It's tough with the running backs. Yeah, that's why I have to, I think, stay with the quarterbacks for the most part. And 100, I mean, is just – this is still a really good offense. I like this offense, and I love who's calling the plays. I love it.
Yeah, I'm not going to say, like you said, I'm not going to say that Kirk Cousins is better than Aaron Rodgers. But like you said, Tony made a great point. He doesn't have to be. I think the team around Kirk Cousins is far better than the team around Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, Devontae Adams is fantastic. Aaron Jones in a contract year, maybe playing a little bit slighted in this spot. You can't find a guy opposite of Devontae Adams. They've tried Scantling. They've tried Lazard. They've tried a lot of different guys. The situation, I don't know. I feel like there's going to be a situation brewing, and I'll make a bold prediction here. I have 3 win total bets in this division alone. And this win total bet is predicated on one thing. Aaron Rodgers will not play 16 games this year. I have the Green Bay Packers under 9 wins at minus 110. I think whether it's injury, I don't think they're going to bench him, but I think whether it's injury, he may take himself out of a game if they start out, 2-4 or something like that. I just feel like he's the type of player that I don't want to get too crazy. This is a little bit. He's the Vontae Davis type. He might retire at halftime.
Drama king.
Yeah, and again, he's not going to do that. That's a bit absurd. But I'm saying he might actually say, "Look, I'm not going out in the second half. You guys want to groom this Love kid? Go for it." Minnesota, again, I agree with Tony. Class of the division. I think they're going to win the division. I don't love really the 170 just in case there's a situation where they don't win the division but still make the playoffs. I have them over 9 wins at even money. So I'm taking Minnesota again to win that division. If it maybe creeps up to 2, which I don't think it will, but again, these division bets can be available in the season as well. Also, the Lions. I think Matt Patricia puts the foot on the gas here. I'm taking the over 7 wins, and I think you're going to see a hot take here when we start predicting our division winners and playoffs.
Oh, uh-oh.
Well, hold on.
Oh, nice little tease.
I'm
Look at that
taking
tease.
I'm taking the
Wow.
over 7 on the Lions at -120. Don't
Wow.
love the juice. I tried to find it at 110, but my bookie just took me for another dime. All right, the NFC South, probably the most anticipated and talked about division for a couple of reasons. One, I know the season starts Thursday, but we might see Alvin Kamara in a new uniform by then, which could be very, very interesting take. A lot of things haven't linked to the Patriots. I mean, of course, every player gets linked to the Patriots at one point or another. But no, that's not the biggest thing. We talked about Brady in the beginning of the show. All eyes are going to be in Tampa on this one. If things don't go well, heads could roll with this. There's a lot of expectations from management, from the fans, and it may be a little much. But again, we'll let the season play out. But we have the NFC South. The Saints were the champions of the NFC South last year. At this point, they are still the favorites to win this division at -110. The Buccaneers are +130. The Atlanta Falcons are 9-1, and the Carolina Panthers are 25-1 to win the NFC South division. Mike, again, like I said, all eyes are on Tampa. We're going to get it week 1 here, buddy. Saints, Bucks, right off the bat.
Great game.
Saints win, first of all, that game. That's not a thing to me. I think Saints are going to win that game. Because it's early in the year, and Buccaneers are like the Clippers this year. I know Tony will appreciate this.
Load management.
They threw together a great roster, and
Kawhi Leonard playing for him?
right. No, the other overrated guy, Tom Brady. I believe this division is a three-headed horse here. I think Falcons could be. They're not going to win the division, but if you a 9-1, yeah, I'll take that if I was a betting guy. But I think Falcons can play devil's advocate and sneak in second place, sneak in third place, or just make it ugly for both teams. I think Drew Brees, I feel sorry for him because I believe if Tom Brady had retired, Drew Brees would have retired too. If it wasn't for this whole touchdown passing thing being on the line, I think Drew Brees looked completely satisfied last year when he broke the record. But now he's going to have to go there and show that he's still got more left than Brady does, which I believe he does have more left. Buccaneers, I'm so torn because by default they should win the division if the team is as stacked as we think it is. I think Saints win the division. I think Buccaneers are second. I think Falcons third. I think all 3 make the playoffs. We'll get to that later. But I think Saints win the division, but I know I wouldn't put any bets besides the Falcons at 9-1.
All right, fair enough. John, what do you think about this division? Again, like I said, it's probably the division with the most eyes on it. I was hoping in the offseason that the Patriots would sign Jameis Winston just so we could have the ultimate storyline. We didn't, unfortunately, get it. But the NFC South probably will be the most competitive.
Maybe. Do you have the total? What's the total? What's the Saints total?
10.5.
I don't have it in front of me. How much?
10.5.
Yep.
10.5. Go under. I don't like Breeze this year. I don't like Kamara talking all that crap. And if Breeze goes down, I definitely don't like who's backing him up. I like the Bucks at 125. Yeah, that's it. I definitely, and I think the Bucks defense is very underrated. They've got Ndamukong Suh up front. In the second line, you've got the rookie from last year who everybody loved, and he played pretty well. On top of that, you got the sack guy Barrett, and in the secondary, you've got some guys who played okay, but who I really like was Antoine Winfield Jr. getting drafted.
I agree. He could be
That's it.
incredible.
I'm done.
It was my favorite draft pick out of everybody. Huge.
Yeah,
fan.
Yeah. He's got the. I love guys with a pedigree. And I think putting all that together, like I said, on every level, you've got guys who, I mean, he's young, but they have secondary guys that are playing okay. I think he's going to bring it all together. I think they're very underrated. And Tom Brady there, you brought in all, they've got the wide receivers core. I like them at 125. I don't like the Saints at all at 110, minus 110.
Tony.
Oh, yeah. The other two teams, they play too.
So they do. They're there somehow. Yeah, exactly. This is unfortunately my take is similar to the AFC North. I don't have much here. I think there's just so much unknown, especially with all that's going on in Tampa Bay. I'm with a lot of you guys that think that Atlanta may have something, but I just don't really know. I think they'll be certainly much better than they were last year. Again, we know Carolina's probably in the doghouse, but again, I still think that they're going to be better. Matt Rule's a stopgap is always intriguing, and I think you brought up a good point, John, that if New Orleans gets a couple of key injuries in a few spots, they could kind of fall on their face randomly too. It's a bit of a weird thing. So I'm unfortunately staying away. I don't have anything really fun to talk about here. Again, if we're picking divisions, I guess I would have to pick New Orleans. I guess, yeah, of course, barring those injuries. But, looking for some value, I certainly would be on Atlanta here with some value. I know that they can be found at around 10, 12 to 1 at certain spots here. That's where I would be just in the value perspective, but I'm not going to have any bets on this division.
Fair enough. I got a couple bets on this division, and I will say I think I don't want it to sound too homery, but I think Tampa Bay is going to take this division. I don't love the defensive thoughts on this because they were the worst passing defense. So hopefully they can get that. But front seven, you're right. They're probably one of the best in the game defensively. Front seven. I have Tampa Bay over 9.5 wins, minus 120. I think they get to double digits. And subsequently, again, I've brought this up a few times. I think crowd noise is going to matter this year, and the Saints are one of the biggest teams to thrive on that. And again, it's not the only factor in a team's thing, but Drew Brees. Question without Teddy Bridgewater, how good are the Saints last year? I mean, he kept that together, and Drew Brees did not look good before he got injured, and did not really look good after he came back from injury. He is aging far worse than Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers are, in my opinion. And there's a reason, at least fantasy-wise, John, he's not up there among the top quarterbacks to be drafted, despite many, many years of success. I know fantasy is not real life in terms of winning. They will be a good team. I just don't know if they are going to make the playoffs this year. I do have them making the playoffs, but like you said, Tony, one thing going wrong could really make this team 6-10, 7-9. Michael Thomas can't do it all. He is probably the best receiver in the game, but he cannot do it all. So that being said, I do have New Orleans under 10.5 at minus 110. Okay. I think they still find a way to sneak in the playoffs. Again, we'll get into our playoff predictions here, but they will not win double-digit games. All right. Well, let's get into that. I want to hear your breakdown, your division winners. I know we've talked about them in some of the specific divisions where we made bets, but Mike, I'll start with you. I want your 14-team playoff prediction here.
Okay. AFC West, Chiefs make the playoffs, win the division. They're none of the. Okay, let me start with the number 1 seed. Number 1 seed, the Ravens. Number 2 seed, the Chiefs. Number 3 seed, I believe, are the Colts. Number 4 seed is the Number 4 seed is the Bills. The 5 seed is the Steelers. And it's not going to be fair because they're going to have way more wins, but that's okay. And number 6 is going to be should I go Browns or Patriots here? I'm going to go Browns make the playoffs. And number 7 is going to be the Patriots. And the NFC, number 1, I believe the 49ers are number 1. Number 2, this sounds stupid, the Cowboys. Number 3, the Packers. No, I lied. Number 3 is the Buccaneers. Number 4 is the Packers. Number 5 is the Seahawks. Number 6 is the Saints. And number 7 is the Falcons.
All right, you are very high on the Falcons this year. It's gonna be
Yes,
interesting.
wow, that is
Interesting
awesome.
NFC South.
So 2 teams with 3 teams in the playoffs. 2 divisions with 3 teams in the playoffs. AFC
Nice.
North and NFC South.
John, what do you like?
Okay, we'll do the NFC first. In the NFC, number 1, I'll go with the Cowboys. They've got so much talent. It's really hard not to say that they're not going to be one of the top. At least get a bye. Number 2, I will go with Tampa Bay. Number 3, I will go with Seattle. Number 4, I will go with.
I thought you guys had these written down.
No, I didn't write these. I only did the other one. The Green Bay. Now, the other 3 teams to make the playoffs, you're going to get Minnesota. You're going to get the 49ers. And you are going to get the Eagles.
Oh, my God. Over the Saints?
Saints, I think
Got the Saints missing the playoffs. Wow, there you go.
Wow.
Yeah, I think they've been like right there, like we're almost there, and then now it's just we're gone, and then they just fall off.
I mean, and remember too, you guys talked about having divisions wrapped up in week 15. There's only 1 bye per division or per conference this year, so that's going to be huge too.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
I thought there were 2. Okay,
That's right.
Tony, what do you got here?
Let's do
All
the
right.
AFC real quick. Oh wait, AFC.
Yeah, John.
I'm
you got
sorry,
AFC. John's got
yeah,
AFC.
you're
Yeah, that's right.
you're right.
Mhm.
AFC. All right, for the AFC, we got Kansas City. Number 2, I will go with. Number 2, we're going to go with Houston.
Oh, my God.
Number 3, we're going to go with New England.
Oh.
And number 4, we're going to go with Cleveland.
Wow.
Yeah, it's going to be a little crazy over there.
I'd say.
Buffalo is going to be number 5. The Raiders, number 6. And Tennessee, number 7.
No Ravens, no Steelers.
Baltimore's out of the playoffs.
I don't like Baltimore. I don't like.
Oh, my God.
I don't like. I mean, I think they're good, but I think that the late change with the safety bit, with the Thomas being gone, I think they've got a book on them. I think they're really gonna come back to the pack this year. Plus, I don't like all the running Lamar Jackson does.
That's
if he
true.
goes down, you got RG3 back there. How many games do you win in RG3?
It's a fair point. All right.
I smell a bet.
Yeah, that's pretty good stuff. I
I
like
smell something. It smells
I
like John.
smell a bet.
it. Pretty good.
All right, Tony, what do you got here?
All right, I'll round it out here. So we got in the NFC, your number 1 seed and your only bye, the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, I got to go with them now after I spewed all that other stuff earlier.
Yep.
Number 2, Dallas, a close number 2, though, just because the rest of the division stinks. So we got them at 2. San Francisco winning the division over there in the West at number 3. And somehow Drew Brees is alive and stays on his feet, and New Orleans squeaks out a very close division win over Tampa Bay, who will be your number 5 seed. Then going to number 6, I guess I'll just go with the Rams, and followed by Aaron's Seattle Seahawks at 7. That division is going to be a lot of fun, that NFC West. So I think we'll get 3 teams out of that division. Into the AFC, I think a pretty clear number 1 here with Kansas City. Getting another bye like usual. Number 2, a little controversially, I've tried to figure this out, and I just can't go with anybody except for New England. I'm going with the Patriots at number 2. I don't care who's the quarterback. It doesn't matter. I think this team's going to be good. That defense should even be better. So I'll take New England at number 2, Baltimore at number 3, although, again, we get an injury to the quarterback, John. I'm with you. They can't win that division with a backup quarterback. But enough, I guess. Baltimore at number 3, and Indianapolis, who I think is the weakest of all these division winners. But we got to go with somebody in that division. So Indianapolis at number 4. Followed, this is all really tough. 5, 6, and
Right.
7 is going to come down to maybe week 17, right? I mean, this AFC is just tough. I'll go ahead and just go with Buffalo at 5, Pittsburgh at 6, and Tennessee at 7.
I like that.
Yeah, I mean, even with 6 teams, it always goes down to week 17.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
There's always, if that team wins and that team ties and this team wins.
That's right.
If the water boy gets hurt, then this team goes like, it always goes down to something craziness.
That's right.
Week 16 and 17.
All right, I'm gonna round this out here. You guys thought you were nuts. You're ready for these?
Oh my! I'm ready for this.
You got a long way to get as crazy as I got.
Maybe so. Yeah, I don't know if I necessarily have Baltimore missing the playoffs here. So, all right, let's start it off a little tame in the AFC. The number 1 seed, Kansas City Chiefs. I think we can all agree with that. As long as Mahomes doesn't get hurt, they're going to have an easy path to probably 14 wins. Number 2, I will stick with Lamar Jackson and be high on the Baltimore Ravens. I think they'll be the 2 seed. I think we're looking at 12 wins this year. I think they lose a few more games that they maybe shouldn't have, and maybe Cleveland is the reason for that. We'll see. Number 3, I have the Houston Texans. I think we're looking at an 11-5, 12-4 team as well. Number 4, I have the New England Patriots winning that division. Tony, I think you nailed it on the head, whether it's Stidham or whether it's Cam Newton. I think it's going to be Cam Newton for the whole year. I'm hoping for a invigorated Cam Newton, and if he can find a shred of 2015, this team could potentially be the number 1 seed as well.
Number 1, yeah.
My wild cards, Buffalo finishes second in that AFC East division. They make the 5 seed. Denver will take the 6 seed in I think we're looking at a 9-7, 10-6 kind of season for that Denver. And then my 7 seed, only because I think if they can somehow find a way to stay consistent, I'm hoping that this is good. I have a soft spot for this guy, but Tyrod Taylor and the Los Angeles Chargers make the 7 seed at 8-8 or 9-7.
I was waiting for the Chargers. I was waiting on bated breath. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, I don't think they're not gonna win that division, but the Los Angeles Chargers get the 7th seed. Thanks to the new rules, they make the playoffs this year.
Wow.
Over in the NFC, the number 1 seed, Dallas Cowboys get the bye, which I'm like flip opposite with you as far as those two, Tony. I think Minnesota also probably goes around 12-4, 13-3, and gets the 2 seed. San Francisco wins the West. That's probably the division I don't feel the most comfortable about picking a winner. San Francisco wins the West at 11-5, 12-4. Tampa Bay also at 11-5 will win the NFC South division as the 4 seed. New Orleans will be probably 9-7, 10-6, get the 5 seed. All right, you boys ready for this? The 6th seed, the New York Giants.
Yes.
Oh!
Yes.
I think 9-7, 10-6, maybe, probably 9-7 will get them in there. And the 7 seed, thanks to the new rules in the playoffs, buckle up.
Don't do it.
The Detroit Lions.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my.
Oh, Detroit.
I think they get in at 8-7-1.
Oh, a tie in there too. Wow, this is really out there.
I would have went with 8-6-2, but okay.
8-6-2.
Wow.
Wow, that's out there. I'll give you that. Okay.
We're feeling playoffs, right?
I think 2020, this could not be a better snapshot of 2020 than the Lions and the Giants making the playoffs this year.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like when you watch at the end of the year, the people, when they go back and see, oh, these guys are the – it's always weirdo teams.
Crazy stuff.
There's always a couple stupid teams that make it. So, yeah, go with the stupid teams.
I think Danny Dimes going to take a step this year. So
I love that offense. I really do. I think if they stay together, that's a top 5 offense.
All right, let's wrap up the show here. I want Super Bowl predictions from everybody, no matter how crazy or ridiculous they sound.
If you say Lions and Chargers, I'm gonna like, I don't know.
I'd like to find an exacta prop on that. I might be a millionaire.
Ooh, that's the one.
You
Yes.
might be a billionaire.
Yeah, it's buying houses, not cars for me. Yes, for sure.
Exactly. So, all right, Mike, you've been saying it first the whole show. The first Super Bowl prediction here on the podcast.
Chiefs go back to back. They beat the I've struggled with this for such a long time. They beat the Saints. Chiefs beat the Saints. Drew Brees finally retires. And, yeah.
All right, John, what do you got?
Close game, Mike, or what are we talking about in the Super Bowl?
In the Super Bowl, I believe it'll be a close game, but I think Chiefs end up winning again. I'm such a fan of Patrick Mahomes. I've been on his bandwagon since before his random MVP season. He is a really good quarterback, and I think Andy Reid has found his darling.
Well, let's hope he can
Was it the
survive the
Gab?
cheeseburgers and buffet lines to long enough to live.
Okay. Super Bowl, I mean, it's kind of hard to go against Kansas City, so I'm going to take the chalk with Kansas City. But on the NFC side, Seattle going back.
Wow.
KC,
Wow.
Seattle.
I can do
really-
that.
I love Russell Wilson. I like you, Aaron. I love Russell Wilson.
Oh, here we go.
I didn't even have him making the playoffs this year.
I know.
But the thing I like about him the most is that he's a running quarterback who never gets you don't even have to worry about him getting hurt. He always drops down.
He's smart.
It's amazing.
And
It
he
is
has
amazing.
a great deep ball. He has one of the best deep balls that in the league. I mean, even when he had those bums out there, he was dropping it
Those
right in there.
bumps.
The curse. Who ever heard of that guy after he left Seattle? He went to the Jets. Nobody ever heard of him before.
DK Metcalf is going to be a huge upgrade as well. He's going to get even better. He's going to get even better. He looked good last year.
I got it. He's a guy I'm looking at. If you're getting fantasy, I love DK Metcalf as well. He's not a target, but he's a guy I like.
So, John, who wins? Who's the winner?
Oh, the winner's Kansas City.
Boom.
Okay. Fair enough.
All right, Tony.
All right. I hate to do this, but, I'm only 35 years old, so I guess I haven't seen everybody play. But Pat Mahomes is the best quarterback I've ever seen. And I said this last year. That's all I needed. I just needed 20 games. That's it. I've never seen a guy play the position like this. It's absolutely unbelievable. If he stays upright, I just don't see how this team doesn't win 13, 14-plus games and just rout people in the playoffs like they did again. So I'm going to have to go with Kansas City in the Super Bowl. They will be facing my darlings, as I have talked about here. I'm going to go with my own personal number 1 seed. I'm going with the Minnesota Vikings.
Wow.
We're going to have to win a lot of close games in the playoffs. I don't think it's going to be anything easy, to say the least, but it was either them or Dallas, really, and I'm going to go with Minnesota. So we got Kansas City, Minnesota in the Super Bowl. And, here's a spot where Kansas City is a 10.5 point favorite in this game because Mahomes has been just laying on people for the last 3 straight weeks. And, Tony Johnson's going to be on the dog here. We're going to be taking that 10 points or 11 points or whatever the case is. And we'll have a money line bet too, because I think Minnesota will get this thing right at the end. Maybe a late mistake, especially on defense for Kansas City, which they have been prone to do every once in a while. And Kirk Cousins' drive at the end of the game, late in the fourth quarter, and we got the Minnesota Vikings winning the Super Bowl over the Kansas City Chiefs.
That would be such a great turnaround for Kirk Cousins, though. Low-key, all hatred aside.
It'll be fun.
That'd be insane. That'd be
Gary Anderson kicks the field goal?
Yeah, even bring Gary down to the field. Absolutely, with the 1 bar and everything. Yes, it's got to have the bar on the helmet. Otherwise, he's not
Little
allowed.
redemption for 1998. Yeah.
Yes.
We'll get a rematch of Super Bowl 4 in Tony Johnson's world. Kansas City versus Minnesota. All right. Well, you guys all have Kansas City, and I do not.
I bet. I know.
I think 2020 has been a complete and historic and utter shit show. So that being said, I get to make up my own Super Bowl exactly.
Detroit, LA. Go for it.
No, it's not quite that crazy. But I think the stage is set up for the ultimate showdown. New England Patriots versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Oh, my God.
He did it.
And Tom Brady, who is one of my favorite humans in the world, shits all over his coach after 20 years.
Oh.
Buccaneers win the Super Bowl 28-27.
And he beats all 32 teams.
There you go.
Hey,
Nice.
he dinks and dunks his way to victory.
Hey, you know what? The rings still fit the same.
He's gonna have to. That's true. That's a good point. That's a really good point.
Wow.
That's right. Nice. Nicely
Really
done.
good. I like that one.
All right.
Tony, before we go, I loved your insight, Tony. That was great insight.
Johns, it's been a pleasure. It's great hearing different opinions. I could not agree more with hearing hearing you guys that I have not listened to before, but a lot of great insight from everybody. Fantastic, fantastic stuff.
Well,
Yeah, this is fun. I like this.
Yeah.
Well, all three of you gentlemen, we appreciate you taking the time. We know it was a long podcast. We hope you guys have tuned in till the end and enjoyed it. Hopefully you've got some bets. Season starts Thursday. This will be airing everywhere from Tuesday all the way till the first week of the action here. We were excited to do it. We hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, hopefully you can make some money this year with some futures bets. Have yourself a little something to have a little side action on. I don't know if you guys are like me. I can't watch an NFL game without having some action on it. Maybe that's just the degenerate in me. So even if it's a season-long bet, I still feel good about it. But again, Mike Carvallis from Mike Said It First. Where can we catch you on 12 Ounce and on social media?
Sunday, 7 a.m. Eastern live. It's a morning show, but boy, is it a great morning show. Wake up with your boy Mike and some drink aid. Also, MKADHD. It's one of my 17th Twitter handle in the last year. That's okay. Just follow it up.
All right, and TalkMan, John Cafaro from the TalkMan Radio Show. Where can we find you on the 12 Ounce family and social media?
Well, in the new world order of sports, you can find me at 12 Ounce Sports every Friday at 6 o'clock Eastern. With fantasy football, getting you ready for fantasy football on the weekend. Every Friday, 6 to 7. You can find me on Twitter at TalkMan Radio and on YouTube, my YouTube channel, where I take clips from my show and throw some extra stuff in there. TalkMan Radio on YouTube. It's a great time. It's fantasy football all day, every day, all the time.
And he will make you laugh. He's a great laugh, man.
I am.
That dude's fun.
When I get naked, it's a roar.
Woo!
Oh, thank God it's audio. Oh, no, it's YouTube, you said. Oh.
Wow.
And, of course,
keep the camera up.
Yeah. Probably have to zoom in anyway. So.
I'm almost done. Don't worry.
And you can find myself and Mr. Tony Johnson every week on the Vegas Squares podcast. We air every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern with our golf betting show, which the Tour Championship just ended. So that was exciting.
Who won?
Dustin Johnson.
He did. Okay. I'm making sure.
And then, of course, every Saturday, now that the NFL season has started, you are going to get our super contest every week. Myself, Tony, Token Tony, and Spike are going to pick super contest style. We've got action in ourselves. Hopefully you can tail us or fade us, make money either way. That choice is yours. We all know you need to fade the fuck out of Token Tony because he had a horrible 2019.
Wow.
But nevertheless, get your golf bets on Wednesdays. Get your NFL bets on Saturdays from the Vegas Squares podcast. You can find us on Twitter at Vegas Squares. And again,
rest in peace to your guy. Who was the guy you shouted out?
Mike Sexton?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mike Sexton.
Mike Sexton. Yeah. Poker world lost an icon.
Oh, yeah.
Good guy. Yeah.
Good guy. I had the pleasure of meeting him through my job and through playing poker with him. And, I don't mean to say this bad about the poker world, but there's not a lot of real genuine, nice guys who do something when there's nothing in it for them. But he's always been a voice for the growth of poker, and he's never wavered. And it's unfortunate that coming out of this pandemic, he will not be a part of what the new poker world could be. So, yeah, rest in peace, Mike Sexton. Thank you for bringing that up. And
I agree.
That's going to wrap it up for us. Again, appreciate it. For Mike Carvallis, for Jonathan Cafaro, TalkMan Radio, Tony Johnson, I am Aaron. We appreciate you listening and watching, and hopefully you can follow all of our shows and all the 12-ounce shows at 12ozsportsradio.com and on Zingo TV, channel 761. Free account using the promo code 12OZ. And for that, we are out. Good luck on your bets, and we'll catch you on the next one.